Hello everyone, and welcome to Twitch Tales, episode 84, or season 5, episode 6, I think it is. Where did we leave off in the last episode? And yes, if you are watching this rather than just listening to it, you can see that I am very cold today, because I'm wearing all of the clothes. Damn New Zealand winters. Where did we leave off in the last episode? Well, Apis has returned home, returned to some semblance of home, the home plane at least, from the Feywild. After having met with the Merry Gentleman and the other Archfey, they returned home. They met with an elven hermit called Seed, and were taken to Seed's abandoned village. A village of which Seed is one of the sole guardians. Apparently, this village has some significance in the gods' realm, and the nature of keeping the different planes in the places that they're meant to be. It's sort of a plug or a linchpin to keep all of the planes connected in the right ways and not dissolving into chaotic overlap anymore. This village, in particularly the gigantic tree at the centre of this village, are so important that around the village were placed 12 sentinels, these gigantic statue-like abjuration magics that would serve different purposes. However, the sentinels and the abjuration magics around this village were so successful that the ancient elven guardians that were placed within the village to maintain and upkeep and protect this village eventually just had nothing to do. People were turned away by the sentinels, people kept away from this part of the forest, and so there was very little for them to do, and they ended up, over the years, dwindling in number. More of them were dying or moving away than were being born or moving to the village, and so the population dwindled until the point at which the village was essentially abandoned. It remained that way for a while until the sentinels started to deteriorate to the point where they were destroyed, either through passive means or through active means. It is not 100% clear. At that point, this elven hermit Seed was lost as a child and found his way to this village, where he was raised by the fairy creatures, the sprites and the blink dogs that still lived in and around this village. Recently, the gods saw fit to send another guardian to the protection of this village, a unicorn named Julius, and the two of them stand as the guardians of the village until, even more recently, Apis arrived. And Apis, being a humanoid, joined Seed as Team Thumbs, able to actually hold tools and hammers, and actually able to help in the maintenance and fixing of the broken sentinels. Upon returning from the Feywild, however, Apis lost some of their mind, some of their memories. Did not remember any of the processes and events that had happened to them while they were on that plane of existence. So to get those memories back, they went to a colony of myconids, humanoid mushroom people that live in a cave relatively nearby, a short flight away. These myconids presented Apis with a challenge: get us some particular mold that grows in a cave deeper to us at the moment, and if you do so, we can burn it in a particular ritual, and as you inhale those spores, you will become more a part of us and our colony, and as such you can benefit from our mind melding abilities, our connective hive minding kind of nature of who we are, and as such we can alter those memories. We can take off the blocks that are stopping you from remembering these things. So Apis did so, was true to their word. The myconids presented Apis with this mind melding ritual, and Apis was able to remember everything that had happened to them in the Feywild. Apis then returned back to the village with Seed, and discovered that they were feeling anxious when they were not connected to the ground, when they were not in the garden with bare feet, but they were instead upstairs on a manufactured wooden floorboards, trying to sleep in a bed upstairs. They felt anxiety, they felt distress. They didn't feel connected to the ground anymore, and so they took their bedroll and they went downstairs to sleep in the garden instead. And I believe, I'm trying to think if there was anything else of worth that's worth bringing up. I think that's pretty much everything, right? Oh, one more thing. The last thing that's worth mentioning is that Apis also wants to get home. They are not at their own village. They are not even on their own island. So after they have helped #Team Thumbs with the fixing of the Sentinels, Apis needs to return home. The Myconids offered one more piece of help there, saying that they have a way of teleporting people, getting them around, transportation. But unfortunately they are cut off from it at the moment. They've been removed from such by a cave-in, a huge collapse of rock and cave, and in order to clear it, Apis is going to need some help, some serious help from something that can move and maneuver rock in the greatest of ease. Something like, for instance, an Earth Elemental. The Earth Elementals are most predominantly found, the ones that are not hostile or lacking sentience, are most found on the Earth plane, and so Apis may have to go to the Earth plane to meet with an elemental and fix this cave-in problem. Oh yes, the Drenna thing. Thank you. As they arrived back at this village, wondering what to do about this Earth Elemental problem, Seed tried to connect with the gigantic tree known as the Dren tree at the centre of this village. And with a nat 20 on religion... Sorry, not Seed, Apis. Apis tried to connect with this tree, and with a nat 20 on religion, Apis was granted a vision by the Dren tree. A vision of the initial 12 founders of this village, the ones that went on to create the Sentinels. They introduced themselves to Apis, giving their names, and Apis was able to get a brief sort of description of what each of them may have looked like. And then they returned to this plane a moment later, still just in touch, in tune with the small herb garden that Seed is growing here. So as Apis bundles himself up in a bedroll and has a little sleep outside in the garden, that is where we left off, and that is where we will pick up. So, Apis, it is a cold night. Given that you are at the start of winter now, and all you have is a bedroll and a blanket, and you're sleeping outdoors, I'm going to have you make a Constitution save to see if you can get a full night's rest without any sort of negative effects, any sort of consequence to that. You chose to sleep outdoors in a bedroll, and we will see if that pays off for you. I'm just going to empty my tray because I know it stresses a lot of people out when I go to my dice tray and there's lots of dice in it. So I'm going to empty the dice tray. There you go. Let's go to Dice Chem. Do. Boop. Nat 1. That is a natural 1. So, Apis, would you like to reroll with Inspiration or Lucky Horseshoe? It is the end of the day, and you are hopefully getting a Lucky Horseshoe back if you make it to dawn. So, would you like to reroll with a Lucky Horseshoe? You can put your thumbs up in the chat, yes, and you can put thumbs down. If you are a follower of this channel, you should have access to the yes and no emotes. You should also have access to a Lucky Horseshoe emote. Alright, looks like yes, so we are going to mark off the Lucky Horseshoe, and we are going to re-roll that. That is 600% better with a 6. A 6 plus your 2 Constitution modifier is an 8. Also, where is Mel? She needs to come snuggle with us. Yes, where is Mel? Mel would definitely be around you, because this is where the beehive is that that Seed is cultivating. It is also where the forest is. The garden is that Seed is cultivating, with all of the flowers and herbs and vegetables and things that Seed is growing. She just needs to be around us. So yes, Mel is around us as well. However, as she is an insect, she is not warm-blooded and does not produce the body heat that you would benefit from cuddling with her. So with an 8 Constitution save, you don't have the greatest of nights. You will get the benefits of a long rest. However, with the tossing and turning that happens throughout the night, you may wake feeling a little tired. Basically, it is what I like to do with this is that it is essentially a delayed onset exhaustion point. You will not get exhaustion when you wake, because you have the benefits of the long rest immediately. But then later in the day, as it gets on, you will feel the exhaustion come and hit you earlier in the day than you would otherwise get, if that makes sense. So rather than getting a full 10 hours of adventure day and being able to do things for a good 10 hours of the day, you will feel the exhaustion starting to come on sooner, is how this works. So if you're having a downtime day, it shouldn't really affect you, but if you're having a big, long day of adventuring, then you will be able to go further, go less distance before you need to stop and make camp. That's kind of how this works. But that's in the morning, and we haven't quite gotten there yet. Because as you sleep, your dreams are plagued by various different odd dreams. Discordant and disconnected dreams. At one point you remember a vision of being by your oasis lake, the Flonenshale Lake, the goddess of healing, the one that she has come to you in a vision about before. And you're standing by it, sort of enjoying the serenity of that. But then it's not long before that's broken and you're in a completely different dream. Perhaps you had a sort of a mini sleep, you awoke and you went back to sleep again as you tossed and turned. And you found yourself in a wild jungle. Not feeling like you were at threat of the wild jungle, not feeling like you were hiding from predators, and not feeling like you're hunting either. Not feeling like you're in danger in this jungle. More feeling like you are this jungle. More feeling like you're connected. Like you could have roots digging down into the jungle. Like you could feel all of the other plant life around you. Feeling more connected to the plants and the vines and the bushes and the shrubs and the trees and the flowers than you were to the insects and the birds and the squirrels and the prey animals. Another dream had you feeling like you were in a cave surrounded by rock on all sides, pitch darkness and claustrophobia sinking in from all sides. Another time you had this sense of being buried under the sand and having earth in your lungs, but able to breathe somehow. Not feeling the claustrophobia, able to move through the sand as if it was water. Another dream you had where you were essentially moving through this vast underground cave system without the claustrophobia, but with this sense of connection to the moss growing on the walls and the fungus and the mold, the spores of this cave system, feeling connected to the whole thing. As you toss and turn, having various different dreams that you remember snippets of in the morning, you do eventually finish a long rest. You come to consciousness in the early hours of the morning, too cold to continue sleeping, and you realize one of the reasons you might be so cold is that in the night you have tossed and turned so much that you have rolled off of your bedroll. You've instinctively grabbed a hold of your blanket and you still have it over you, but you are nestled now deeper into the garden, and you have wriggled back and forth so much that you've sort of buried yourself down into a little divot in the dirt. And a good 3 or 4 inches of dirt surrounds you on all sides, and you feel comfortable and warm and snug as you lay here in the dirt with a blanket over the top of you. Something wet touches your face, and you open your eyes to see a blink dog's wet nose just sort of prodding you, and then a lick up the side of their face as the blink dog disappears and appears a good 30 feet away. You see sitting on top of like an overturned spade, just like stuck into the dirt, sitting on the handle, a little sprite just kind of watching you curiously, and then it flitters away as it realizes you wake up. It is now the next day. What do you want to do? Apis has this memory of fighting a giant worm, but it might not be canon. Yes. I wanted to lick the blink dog back. Gear up. The funny thing was that was planned from the beginning. And then it just happens that every time we come across a dream, it's Fancy's turn to take notes. Check that we haven't taken root. You pull yourself up from the ground, and you do kind of feel like you're you're heavier today, like it's harder for you to move. You're stiffer, your muscles are really sore, and it feels like you haven't fully relaxed during the night. But you do feel calm. Immediately upon waking, you don't feel like the effect of grogginess. It feels like a refreshed, calm feeling where you feel super grounded, super in touch with the world around you. The cold air, as you breathe it in, it feels revitalizing and rejuvenating. You are stiff and sore in the muscles, but you do manage to wake and sort of stretch yourself out. And you do pull yourself up from the ground, and though slightly harder than usual when getting out of a bed, you turn around and you see that your skin hasn't produced roots. You aren't rooted into this dirt in any way. Take a handful of the dirt with us. You can indeed, yes. I'm not sure that you have a herbalism kit on you. So you open up your herbalism kit. You take out a smaller jar, tiny little mason jar, and you scoop up some of the dirt. And just out of curiosity more than anything else, you bottle that up, put it in your herbalism kit. Maybe you should stretch. Let's give you a stretch. You give yourself a nice big stretch because you are 54 years old. In dwarven years, that is the equivalent of somewhere around 20 to 25, somewhere around there. You are of the age where your body just kind of bounds back from everything. You've not started just cracking in weird places or like creaking and just getting. You're not throwing your back out from sneezing. You're not at that sort of age yet. So you do a bit of morning yoga and you crack and you stretch and you get yourself ready for the day as you roll up your blanket that is kind of covered in dirt. Can we ask TomTom about the location of the Earth Plane portal to see if it's moved or gone? You do indeed. You you put your hand out and you ask for TomTom. And those who have not been here before, you see a tiny blue, really blue iridescent beetle come wriggling out from underneath one of your braces and into the palm of your hand. You see him sort of take a stop in the center of your hand and look up at you with its little antenna, just sort of expectant and waiting. and you ask Tom Tom, where's the nearest direction to an Earth plane? And immediately he shoots off in a particular direction. I will say from here, from memory, so that it doesn't save time looking it up. I'm pretty sure it's west by northwest. Sorry, west by southwest from here, but don't hold me to that. He shoots off in a very specific direction and sort of lands at the end of your thumb, and then as you turn, he turns with you and runs up one of your fingers instead, so that he's always pointing in the same direction from where you are. You place Tom Tom away again, and have a cup of tea while you have the kit out. Yeah, while you've got your herbalism kit out, you take out some of the teas that you might have in there, or some of the herbs that you've picked along the way. You start to boil a kettle. Seed comes over to you, having been an elf all his life. He's never really understood or needed sleep. He rests, but he stays awake while he's meditating. He stays conscious while he's meditating anyway. And so he has finished his long rest in only 4 hours and is going about his business. It seems that Seed is very carefully and kindly working around you in the garden, doing his morning like clippings and his morning like waterings and things of the garden, but doing so quietly and carefully is to not disturb you. He's been around non-elven folk for long enough to know that they need sleep, even if he doesn't fully understand what it is. This is why we play D&D, for the level of fantasy escapism, waking up feeling fine and ache-free. Yes, sorry, you do get your horseshoe back. Long rest, thank you. Is that the same direction where it was last time? Well, last time you checked, you were miles away, a short flight away with the Myconids, and you're not sure whether it's the same portal or not. Morning, Seed. Oh, you wake. Morning, Apis. You sleep good? Does Seed think we're weird for sleeping in the garden? No. If anybody understands sleeping in the garden, it would be Seed. Seed is as druid as you can get. He is so druid that he is a homebrewed version of druid. Can Seed garden hose down our face too? Seed does not have a garden hose, but Seed does have a tiny little spring that uses a sort of water wheel. I don't know if you've seen them in real life, but there is like a prayer wheel that you can put in like a running water stream or something, and every rotation is sort of like a prayer to one of the gods. And Seed popped into a greenhouse a little while ago and got one of these prayer wheels to add to his garden, so that Flon and Shale may always be present here in the garden, the goddess of healing. I'm not in your way, am I? No, lots of things Seed can do. I didn't sleep so well, no, but it's not unexpected. We should test out how far we can go to see if we feel test out how far we can go to see if we still feel sick before we head out to the Sentinels. Yeah, so right now you do not feel any of the nausea that you have been feeling the last day or so. You feel good. You feel calm, you feel healthy, strong. Can we ask Seed if it's the same direction as we went before? Seed, when we flew to the Myconids before, was it that direction? And Seed has a little think, and yes, Myconids over there. And he points in that kind of a direction. Not exactly the same direction, but very close. Yeah, sorry, I had to sleep in your garden. I was feeling anxious in bed last night. Seed kind of in the way of like a dog cocking its head. Seed seems to not fully understand the word anxious. Maybe he's not the smartest of folks, and he's not well read. He can barely speak common, so not the greatest. But I was you explain it in different terms. I was feeling anxiety. I was feeling nervous. Oh, nervous of what? Nothing in particular. I just didn't feel right, and so I needed to sleep here and where I felt comfortable. Okay, yes, ground comfortable sometime. Seed, have you had any illness after visiting the Myconids before? No, Seed healthy. Never before though, like in the past when you visited the Myconids? No, Seed always healthy. Okay. Well, I'm feeling a bit heavy, but nice. You've connected to the myconids before, yeah? You've never noticed a connection to them that lingered for a while? Myconids spore to breathe in spore, and myconids talk that way. Myconids talk with you through pictures. Yeah, I noticed that, and that lingers for a while. It lasts for a small while after leaving. Right. Okay. Well, I feel better inside the plants here. Yes, plants help. You at this point you've boiled some water over a small stove, and pour yourself some tea. You pour some for Seed as well, and Seed takes it and immediately takes some clippings from one of the nearby plants and smashes it in his hand, kind of rolls them up and squidge, and just drops it into the water, stirs it around a bit. Tell Seed about the connection with the Dren tree and the founders. Is that what we're going to do? It seems like a pretty big call, so I'll put it to the Apis as a whole. Are we going to keep to ourselves that we had a vision where we met all of the founders of the village, or are we going to tell Seed? If you want to tell Seed all about our vision and the founders of the village, put a thumbs up in the chat. But if you do not want to tell Seed for whatever reason, put a thumbs down in the chat. Julius thought it was a big deal. It's Julius, not Julian, pretty sure. Because I remember that Julien means no, not Julian. I don't think Seed would understand the significance of it. It might be upsetting for them that they haven't seen it in the 70 years that they've been living in this village. Alright, most people say no. So Apis thinks about it and says, I had a dream. I had lots of dreams. Interesting night. And you think better of actually telling them all about it. Maybe later, you think. So you drink down your tea. What do you want to do now? Am I mistaken that Seed has tried to connect with Dren tree? Seed has tried to physically connect with the Dren tree in every way possible. Seed has tried to cross the moat that is around the tree. Seed has tried to touch the tree. Seed even got up onto one of the buildings nearby, managed to get from there up to the canopy, grabbed a hold of one of the branch and tried to work his way along to the tree, but it got harder and harder to do so as he got closer to the trunk. Seed has never actually been able to touch the tree except for the times that the tree has opened and the bark dropped down and created a drawbridge, and then Seed has been able to go into the Feywild from there. What's your plan for today, Seed? Seed going to check on Earth Sentinel. The plant you planted on Earth Sentinel seems to clean ground real good. Seed going to check on that. Right, okay. Do we want to see if Julius knows what this could be? What could be, Fancy? You not visiting any others today? No visit today. No. Seed do Sentinel some days and visit people next days. In the time that you've known Seed, you know that he tends to go in a 2-day cycle of visiting people around, like the Myconids or the Were village or the nearby, well, not very, relatively nearby, elven villages. Do any trading that he needs to do, and then on the off days, he will try and work on the sentinels that he needs to fix. The weird dreams, right? You can do if you want. You can find Julius and ask him all about the weird dreams. We plan on going into the Earth portal to get the Fire Sentinel materials and Earth moving help. Potentially, that's up to you. Worth asking Julius about having the Myconid dreams? Alright then. After we've done that, we could see if the portal to the Earth plane is stable enough. Might be able to find materials on the Earth plane to fix the Fire Sentinel, and find an Earth Sentinel friend to help. An Earth Elemental friend to help. Yes, Seed can make Earth Elemental friend. Right, that'd be great. Is Julius around? Julius in forest, yes, Julius, and he points out of the village. Julius talking with animals. Okay, right. Thanks, Seed. I'm gonna start getting up, I think. And you shake off your bedroll, and you roll that one up as well. You touch it to the bottom of your bag. You get all ready to get about your adventuring day. And then what are you doing? Heading out to visit Julius? Yes, is that the plan? Try and find Julius in the forest. Ask him about your dreams and such. Check on our plane book. Yeah, you could check on your plane book to see any information about the Earth plane. See if you can actually survive when you visit the Earth plane. So which would we want to do first? Visit Julius and ask Julius about things, or read the plane book? Because Julius is out in the forest somewhere, and it's not exactly like a well-cultivated track through the forest. It's not like a rambling track, and so you're going to have to be properly concentrating on what you're doing if you're walking through the forest trying to find a unicorn. So you can't read the book while you walk. Thumbs up if you want to. Let's say thumbs up is visit the unicorn, because the thumbs up kind of looks like a unicorn horn. That's my word association. That's how I read it. A thumbs up if you want to visit the unicorn and see if you can talk to Julius about your dreams and things. Thumbs down if you want to read the book first. All right, there is some no's, but it is majority yeses so far. Yeah, majority yeses with some no's in there. So you do think about reading the book. You get your plane book out and you think, I should remember to read this before I head to the Earth plane. You pop it back in your bag though as you set out of the village, walking away to try and find Julius. This feeling of calm stays with you. This feeling of being happy and healthy and content. It's a good morning. You feel good. Even if you're a little bit stiff from sleeping on the ground, you feel content. In a very kind of a tree-huggery, hippie kind of way, you feel very attuned with the nature around you as well. It takes you very little time at all. By following your instinct, by following your gut, by following just like a sense of where Julius is, you pretty much beeline to him. Julius leaves no trace in his own forest if he chooses not to. He can pass without trace, essentially. He can pass through his forest however he wants with the greatest of stealth. But you just kind of find him. And Julius is somewhat surprised by that. When you enter the clearing in which he is essentially having like what seems to be a very cute little... what's her name that does the Peter Rabbit books? Beatrix Potter. It seems like a little cute Beatrix Potter kind of... drawing as you walk in, and there's a unicorn on one side of this clearing and like a collection and assortment of various different woodland critters on the other side. A couple of badgers and a couple of squirrels, and there's a rabbit riding one of the badgers, and Julius seems to be communicating with them. And as you walk in, they're all sort of startled and they all get ready to run as animals do, but with Julius's kind of calmness, an aura of calmness and safety. They hold off on skittering and scampering, and Julius says, "Apis, I am surprised that you found me. What can I do for you? What do you want to do?" It is early morning still. The sun is still rising. You're in the shade of the trees and things at the moment. There's canopy above. It's still cold. To be honest, I'm a little surprised I found you as well. I wasn't sure how I was going to find you. I was just kind of following my instinct. I just kind of felt drawn to this location. Very interesting. Do you want to have any breakfast with me? I need to ask you some things. I have already eaten, but I'm happy to spend time with you while you eat. Allow me a moment to finish what I was doing here. Yeah, of course. You kind of just sit at the side of this clearing for another like 10 minutes as he silently kind of just stares at these animals and hooves the ground just a little bit, and you know that Julius can talk with telepathy. That's how he mainly communicates. You have probably seen Julius speak aloud before as well, but it's not in common, and it's not easy for him to do because of his big old horse mouth. And so he much prefers to just speak in telepathy. It's much more efficient. And so he seems to be telepathically or through body language communicating something to these animals. And after about 10 minutes, a couple of them start to hop away or fly away and scurry up the trees and things. And then he turns to you. Please, lead the way. I'm happy to journey to wherever you feel comfortable discussing things. It's like the old saying, never look a gift horse in their big old horse mouth. Yeah, exactly. Pet him? What, Julius? That would be very disrespectful to treat him like an animal. He is essentially an angel. The clearing you're in should be private enough. Now that the animals have scurried away to do whatever they were doing, the clearing you're in is clear enough. You say, here's actually fine. I'm comfortable here. And you really are. You feel comfortable. As you've been sitting on the ground with your back to this tree, you've just felt like you could just go straight back to sleep again. There's no nausea. You're away from the garden. There's absolutely no nausea. You feel comfortable. You feel calm. You feel connected to the world. Right here is fine. I'm always comfortable in the forest, especially now, which is kind of wanted to talk to you about. Since visiting the Myconids yesterday, I've felt some things a little different. He doesn't say anything. At first I felt this nausea, like a sickness, like I was ill, or like I was going to get ill. It wasn't exactly pain, but it was very much discomfort. I understand. When I went to sleep last night, I went into one of the houses of Drenville. And I went upstairs to where the bedrooms are, and I just felt wrong. I felt anxious and nervous and disconnected, and I just didn't feel safe there. I can understand the feeling, but Drenvale is one of the safest places around. I know that. Which is why it sort of concerned me, and I wanted to talk to you about it. I took my bedroll and I ended up going and sleeping in the garden. Yes, I did see you in the garden. I wondered if you were cold. I was cold, yes, but at least I felt comfortable. At least I felt like I could actually sleep there. I tossed and turned through the night, but I had these visions, and you kind of give him as much as you can remember about the dreams. And in the morning I found myself just like nestled down in the dirt, and the nausea's gone. I feel comfortable and fine. And so you're concerned because you feel comfortable now. I'm concerned because I felt nauseated and disjointed, and now I feel comfortable the next day. I feel connected. I was able to just find you by trusting my instinct in the forest, and I just want to know if you know anything about it. It feels odd. I can understand that. If you'll allow, I can do a little poking around, he says with sort of like a smirk in his voice. Okay. And he puts his head down to you with the horn and just very gently touches the tip of the horn to the center of your forehead. And then there's this hum noise, kind of like a tuning fork that's been ding. There's this humming sound as his horn touches the solid bone of your skull, and you feel it kind of like vibrating through your body, and you can kind of feel it stretching almost pins and needles like down your arm. The hair on your skin starts to stand up, and it reaches out to the tips of your fingers. It only lasts a good 5 or 6 seconds or so before he pulls his head away, and he says, "You have reason to be concerned. but not something that should worry you. The reason you feel different is that you are different. Different how? It feels unnatural, but at the same time it's the most natural feeling you can imagine. I've never felt more connected to the world, and it's strange. Your body is no longer quite in alignment with your soul or mind. Concerned and worried are synonyms, yes, and synonyms are not the same word. Synonyms are subtly different usually. Concern and worry are two different things. Synonymous, but different. How is that possible? That sounds like something I should be worried about. No, worry is useless. You are not at danger, but your body is not as it is destined to be, as it was destined to be. What I can tell is that the four are in disalignment. The four? There are four parts to a person: the body, the soul, the mind, and the whole. Your soul and mind are in alignment as Apis Hive, Hill Dwarf Ranger. But your body is no longer fully dwarven. I'm sorry? When any one of the first three are disaligned, the whole is disaligned. And as such, this is where we get a lot of our feelings of discontent, or like you belong in a different body, or like the mind you have isn't doing what it needs for what you wish it would. There are ways to realign oneself, but many of them are costly or dangerous. So am I half myconid mushroom person now? It is possible. I would not say that the inconsistency within your body is half. It is, if you wish to put a fraction on it, I would say less than a quarter. Probably less than an eighth. The body's DNA does not work quite so easily as to be easily fractioned or proportioned. Is it dangerous to be disconnected like this? Depending on the disconnect, it can be. You do not yet show signs of your mind or your soul being dangerously affected. If you find you can live with this comfortably and contentedly, you could live a happy and full life. But if you find you wish to remove yourself of this, realign yourself, there are ways to do so. What would hurt worse? Realigning my mind and soul to my new body, or realigning my body back to my alignment? Your mind and your body, your mind and your soul are currently what they were destined to be. Your body is the thing that is out of alignment. Realigning your body to your mind would be the easier solution. How is that realigning done? There are a number of ways to do so. Death is the easiest way. I'm sorry? Yes. It is the unpleasant choice for many of your kind. Death leaves behind the body. The soul and mind continue on to the afterlife, the outer planes. Resurrecting the body brings the mind and soul back into it. Resurrecting a body can realign the body, the soul, the mind, and the whole. But it has risks, of course. A safer way is to restore the body, but doing so is costly. It requires a sacrifice to Listalak, the god of possession, the god of greed, the god of ownership. It requires showing the gods that you value your realignment more than you value earthly possessions. Usually a sacrifice of gold or diamond dust is sufficient. Another way that is less costly but also a little more temperamental is to try and remove this disalignment as though it was a curse. Curses, after all, work in a very similar way, in disaligning your body, soul, mind, and whole. So to remove this effect as if it was a curse can be done, but it requires certain elements of self-identification, self-identity, strong ties to who you were before the disalignment. If you can bring me something of your childhood, or something of your family, or something of your lineage, your ancestors, I could potentially attempt the ritual. Is it possible to just keep an eye on this and how it progresses? Absolutely. As I see it at the moment, you are your own mind. You can take this as it comes. You can make your decisions and change them in light of new information. How much gold or diamond dust? I have a decent amount of coins. I can grind them into dust if I need to, I suppose. Usually, quantitatively, I'm not an arcanist. I'm unaware of the exact amount that you would say. I would know it when I see it. If you have some sort of scales, I would know whether we have enough. Is this something that the Merry Gentleman could fix on his own? I am unaware of the limitations of the Merry Gentleman's power, but I imagine that resurrection is very much in his wheelhouse, as, after all, Seed was once killed and brought back. The Merry Gentleman was the one to do so. Even the Merry Gentleman has to undergo certain rituals to the gods, to request the return of a soul. As for the other options, the Merry Gentleman is probably capable, but I would imagine busy. Well, Mike had said that this would be temporary, that it'll wear out naturally. Is that not the case anymore? The rapport spores that they use, the telepathic spores that they use to communicate with those not part of their hive, those wear off. After around an hour or so, they've worked their way out of your system and you are no longer able to communicate telepathically. I imagine it was perhaps the spores that they were referring to as temporary. This secondary ritual that you went with the brown mold, I imagine that has had more of a permanent effect. Is there a time limit on when you can help with this? With most things, yes. With disalignment of the body, the soul, the mind, and the whole, there are usually more difficult circumstances. If the longer you have been disaligned, sometimes the harder it is to realign. I'm not sure if that's the case for this one or not. I'm unfamiliar with this particular disalignment. Right. Well, waiting. Part of me was hoping to find my family soon, but that would mean leaving this place. Have I done enough here to help the state of the portals and maybe solve what was happening in my home instead? That is entirely your decision to make, Apis. You are beholden to no one, as far as I understand it, unless you made some sort of binding contract or deal with the one you call Merry Gentleman. You are free to leave the Drenvale whenever you see fit. Your help has been greatly appreciated, and there is a great deal more that you could do to help. But if you have your own situations to deal with at home, and you know how to get home, by all means. When I was dreaming, I was having myconid dreams, or I was seeing things like I was a myconid. Is my mind weaker when I sleep? I do not require sleep as the material planers do, so I do not experience it in the same way. But it is my understanding that the mortals, like yourself, your mind is removed temporarily from this plane of existence, transitioned to the dream plane. It could be that your myconid connection, your myconid-like association now, could simply have been hive-minding, melding with the myconids when you were sleeping. More data would help, I suppose. So why did this happen to me specifically and not others who've done the ritual? I don't know of anybody else who has done the ritual. Nobody else has had that brown mold thing where their memories come back to them. Not to my knowledge, no. The myconids live a relatively solitary life. Seed went through the ritual with me, even though it wasn't his memories we were seeing. Should we be worried about Seed also? Could he have been affected? Was Seed a part of the brown mold ritual? If it was your mind that they were focusing on, the brown mold probably affected you. The brown mold possibly avoided Seed altogether. Right? Do you think the nausea will come back? Hard to say. Let me know if it does. I can help you in certain ways. I have restorative magic. Thank you, Julius. We need to get that mushroom transportation, so we need to do at least the Air Sentinel to get access to that. We have no way of getting home until then. That's ultimately the short-term goal for you, is that in order to get back to Corintiel, your home island, you need some way of getting back there. The only way that you know to get back there so far is that the mushroom folk, the myconids, can teleport you there. But in order to get access to their teleportation device, this huge mushroom tree that they have underground in a cave somewhere, they can teleport you through that. But there's been a cave in before that, and you need to help them clear that out in order to get that fixed. So it's sort of like a several-step process. If you can go to the Earth plane and find an Earth Sentinel to help you clear out the cave-in, then they can fix up the teleportation thing, and you can get home. If we get home, we can return with more thumbs, potentially. Is this process finished? Is this going to keep going? Again, you're asking questions of a process that I'm unfamiliar with. If you see any advancement, let me know. Could the brown mold have had this effect on me because I'm a Horizon Walker? Again, Apis, I'm afraid we're on the frontier here. This is not information that I have more information on than you do. I can assess certain people's alignments, as it were, and yours is unaligned. Right. Thank you for that, Julius. On another note altogether, we're planning on going to the Earth plane to gather materials and hopefully find a friendly elemental to help us. I've got a book about the planes, and you take that out and show him. It might teach me something. Perhaps you also have any helpful advice for us? Let's see what he knows. Boop. Not a lot. It says the Earth planes are part of what is known as the inner planes. The Earth plane in particular is one of the greater planes, the primary planes of the elemental flux. An enormous infinite in every direction plane of elements. It is the building blocks from which the gods plucked the material plane, the Feywild, the Shadowfell, and others. The elements themselves are arranged into the 4 primary elements: solids, liquids, gases, and plasmas. Or, as many call them, earth, water, air, and fire. The earth plane is as hostile as any of the others. If you are not an earth elemental yourself, the vast majority of it will be untraversable for you. You will not be able to breathe, you will not be able to survive, there will not be pockets of air for you. There is no surface to the earth plane. It is solid earth infinitely in all directions, until you start to get to the plane of dust, or the plane of ooze, or the plane of metal, where the other elements seem to seep in. Your best chances of survival on the earth planes, or any of the planes for that matter, are the middle grounds between elemental law and elemental chaos. If you can get to the middle grounds, you may stand a chance of success. Unfortunately, I know very little about the specifics of them. How will I tell if this disconnect is getting worse? I don't want to leave it too late, but obviously I need time to figure out how I'm going to fix it. I suggest you pay attention to yourself. Pay attention to how you feel. Pay attention to your body. Thank you for your time, Julius. Your knowledge is very appreciated. I'm more than willing to help, Apis. You're a good soul. I'm afraid I have other work to be doing. I trust you can find your own way to where you need to be, he says with sort of another smirk in his voice, and he turns around and then just walks away. And you can see as he walks, he leaves no trace behind him. You can barely even hear him move. As soon as he walks past one of the trees, he's gone. So, what do you want to do, Apis? You are alone in a clearing. You have some information that you may be part Myconid. Seed did not come with you. Seed has his own work to be doing during the days. Check the book. Yeah, we did say we wanted to read the book, didn't we? So you bring out your planes, your book on planes, and you start to flick through. You sit down into the dirt again. You feel comfortable. You feel like you're connected to the ground when you're sitting on it, like in direct contact with it, and that somewhat disturbs you, seeing visions of the Myconids that you met recently having been literally rooted into the ground. Every time they stop moving, tendrils immediately start rooting themselves down into the ground, and every time they have to move, they have to rip their legs up from the ground like they're wading through thick mud. You even saw their bodies fuse together like the trunk of a mushroom until they had requirement for an arm, and then it would tear itself out from the side. You are concerned about that, I will say. You are worried, probably, about the possibility that you are going to become something like that eventually. But right now, you don't see it. You don't feel any stickiness in your fingers, like they're trying to stitch themselves together. You don't feel like you're exuding tendrils from your body when you touch the dirt. You just feel comfortable and connected, at least. So you get this book out, you flick to the chapter on the elemental flux, and you start to flick through to the subchapters on the elemental planes. First thing you do is you confirm for what Julius was saying, essentially, that man, it's coming down now. Jesus, this is tipping it down. Hope that's not too loud. First thing you do is you confirm for yourself that the elemental plane is essentially divided from the elemental chaos to the elemental law. In the elemental law, all of the elements are 100% in their own categories. Everything is in their own categories. Even within the elemental law plane of Earth, basalt is just with the basalt, and granite is just with the granite, and diorite is only with the diorite, and such like that. It is separated into its elements. There is not an ounce of air. There is not a single droplet of water. It is entirely Earth, and as such, it is only accessible and livable to those creatures who are made entirely of Earth and who have the features Earth Glide, Tremor Sense, Earth Sight, and Earth Breathing. Like, if you require air to breathe, you definitely don't survive in that plane. What's more is, because the elemental law is separated into those things, the most hostile thing in the elemental plane of law is the elemental plane itself, because the plane is constantly separating any examples of those things. It is like an obsessive compulsive person taking every grain of rice and arranging them by length. It is, if you arrived in the elemental plane of law and somehow weren't immediately crushed to death by the cavern, maybe you're an earth glider, the elemental plane itself would immediately start sapping the water from your lungs and throwing it off to the water plane. It would take the air out of you. It would take any sort of warmth out of your body and send that to the plane of fire. You would be torn into your constituent atoms and parts and then separated out into the places where they belonged. So, needless to say, elemental law, immediate death. Elemental chaos. The other end of that scale is all of the elements are equally in abundance. There is no possible way of pointing to anything. There's not even like a pocket of air. It's air, water, fire, and earth all combined in equal amounts, just like a well blended soup. Needless to say, immediate death. So you don't want to go to either of the ends of the spectrum on any of the planes. The middle grounds, what is known as the middle grounds, is the only place that mortals or anything from other planes of existence outside of elementals can tend to exist. Because in the elemental plane of Earth, there are pockets of air. There are caves and caverns where you can breathe. There are also like small rivers and streams and things where the elements are kind of connected into their associated elements, like a lake or a contained fire or a river of lava or something. But they are mixed enough that you can actually survive in them, having a little bit of everything. So basically, you want to go to the middle grounds or you die, is how it works. Within the middle grounds, however, there are a lot of dangers. There is the danger of constant earthquakes. The plane itself is shifting. There are gigantic Titan-sized elemental creatures that are the plane. The plane seems to move. There are, essentially, you can think of them as tectonic plates that move around each other constantly. Caves will open and close, and fissures will crack. And if you get trapped in a cave that just sort of squishes up, dead. There are rivers of lava that suddenly might just open in the cavern above you, and dead. That you might teleport into the middle grounds and immediately be an aquifer that has no oxygen in it at all and immediately dead. So even within the middle grounds, there is danger. Then if you survive the dangers of the terrain of the middle grounds, there is also the creatures that live there. There are hunters. There are things that burrow through the ground, like purple worms. There are things from other planes of existence that have thrived there, like purple worms, like boulettes, like ankhegs. Then there are other denizens that are native to the plane, like the elementals. There are sand elementals. There are clay elementals. There are mud and crystal and rock and all of the different types of earth that you can think of. There is an elemental or several that exist of that kind, and just in the same variety that you get within humanoids, some of them are nice, some of them are bad, some of them have ill intent, some of them are helpful. If you happen to be come across by some sort of, bandit, so quote unquote, elemental who just wants to loot what you've got, then maybe you get killed and looted. Maybe being such a different life, you get some elemental comes across you and has no regard for you any more than you would regard a worm on the ground, and so either ignores you or steps on you without thinking twice about it. It also has a section in this book about the elemental denizens from old, like the older ones, the more sentient ones, things like genies and jinn and Dao, and those sorts of geniekin. The offspring of genies as well, the elemental, what are they called, the genasi. And then, yes, as Matt points out, there's potentially time dilation as well. Whenever you travel to different planes of existence from the mortal plane, there is potential for the plane to be moving at a different rate to your home plane, and so when you return back, there may be some sort of time dilation. Biggest problem I can see is that we might be stuck there for who knows how long. The only portals out might be in the solid Earth portion of the plane, where we'd get ripped apart, or whatever, trying to approach the said portal. Perhaps. Which is why, as all of the books on anything that you've ever read or spoken to anybody about Horizon Walkers say that it is an incredibly dangerous thing to be, because some Horizon, like that's one of the hypotheses as to why Horizon Walker is so rare, is that it may be much more common in childhood than people think. But by the time it starts to present itself, by the time that Horizon Walkers start to accidentally jump from plane to plane without the need of portals, more often than not, you're going to accidentally pop yourself into existence in something that is entirely hostile to you and not be able to get back. And so it's hypothesized relatively strongly that most Horizon Walkers don't make it to adulthood just by nature of accidents, going missing. Self-selecting rarity, yes. And so being a Horizon Walker that is starting to get into your adult years, you're going to have to be very careful about when you do choose to use portals. Now, on a meta level, you are the main character of this story. I am not just going to end the story that I've been telling for years at this point by having you go into a portal without any warning from me and you just get ripped apart by the elemental plane and you're dead. Like, that's not a satisfying end to this story. So you do have a little bit of plot armor. Don't rely on that, but you do have some plot armor in the fact that you are the main character of this campaign. So I don't want you to get completely terrified by me saying all of this and say we're never going to go exploring anything at any time ever because it's too dangerous and there's a risk of death. There's always a risk of death in the adventure, but you're still gonna be the main character. You can poke you can poke the planes using a stick. Yeah, you can. There are things you can do in character to try and give yourself some safety, and I'm not just gonna kill you just for the sake of killing you, just to be like, well, that's the world, because that's not the kind of storyteller I am. Does the book give us any ideas on what materials we could use in order to fix the Fire Sentinel? It probably does, yes, but I haven't really put a lot of thought into that. So what I noticed last night when I was preparing for this session and the upcoming sort of few episodes is that I don't know enough about geology. I wish I knew more, because it does interest me, but it's such a huge, vast topic that I don't know enough about the different types of rock. So it would probably be it's almost definite that the type of rock that you need to fix the Fire Sentinel is igneous rock, because igneous rock is from lava flows. It is obviously rock that has come from heat, superheated, and so it makes sense that superheated rock would be associated with the fire plane. So your whatever the rock is that you need to fix the fire plane, it would be some kind of igneous rock. Metamorphic, that's the other one. I was trying to remember yesterday what the three types of rock were. Igneous comes from lava flows. Sedimentary comes from literally sediment just layering down and getting compacted into rock. And then metamorphic, don't even know what that is. By the sounds of it, it has been morphed from one thing to another. But I don't know why that's not just igneous rock then. Now we know how that scientist felt, the one that discovered space between atoms and was immediately afraid that it'd fall through the floor. Yeah. Could we say that we remembered the type of material used in the Fire Sentinel from when we investigated the cauldron, so we just look up for that type regardless if we know what it's called? Yeah, we will somewhat handwave that redial and say, like, you know what kind of stone you need. So if you come across that kind of a stone, you can ask for it. or you can harvest it or whatever. Metamorphic changes under pressure like marble. Metamorphic rocks come from caterpillars. Very good. Marble from limestone is metamorphic, right? I don't know. Metamorphic is rock, basically a rock that used to be another type of rock. Isn't that igneous as well, though? Because igneous rock is rock that has been melted by heat and pressure and then cools into lava rock. I don't know. Diamonds are metamorphic because they're crushed from other rocks and things. Again, as I say, I wish I knew more about geology for this upcoming few episodes. You're going to have to bear with me as I blag my way through some rocks and dirt and earth and connections to geology and whatnot. Science time. Tonight on Twitch Tales, Geology 212. I like that you didn't go with Geology 101, because like I could pass a Geology 101 course perhaps, but this is Geology 2 in the 2s at least. All right, so you read the book. What is there anything other information that you're looking for about the Earth plane from this book? Because it has a lot of information. It doesn't have everything. Civilizations and cities of the Earth planes. Yes, so you read, you flick through the Earth Elemental chapter a little further and get to the parts that talks about settlements. What you'll learn is that the Tao are the genies of the Earth, the oldest genies of the Earth, and they are not nice people. They are slavers. They are traders, and they are obsessed with opulence and wealth and looking like you have the best stuff. Think like sultans from sort of Aladdin, where they've got the processions of elephants and gaudiness and peacocks and things that they're just like, look how wealthy I am. Like I've got money to spare, throwing coins out to people. Like they're like, look how wealthy I am, is basically the driving force of a Tao. But they are cruel. They are slavers. They're merciless, and they have enormous cities of palaces and things that are built into the rocks, often in the middle grounds where they can, where their mortal slaves can survive. They can earth glide, and they can do all of these things that you'd expect an earth genie to be able to do. They can turn themselves into various different types of rock and whatnot. But the palaces themselves are usually surrounded by the earth genie's magic, which prevents the tectonic plates, as it were, from crushing these palaces. They are protected in their own little bubble of not being affected as much by the surrounding plains. So it says that yes, there are these huge palaces and the surrounding infrastructure that supports those huge palaces, like the farms and such, where they will grow like mushrooms and mosses and things, the underground stuff. It also says that there are occasionally smaller nomadic villages. Most of the civilizations that exist in the middle grounds exist as nomadic villages, because without that sort of protective genie magic, they are invariably going to be subject to a crushing at some point with the tectonic plate kind of shifting and the constant earthquakes of the middle grounds. And so most people will set up smaller camps and yurts and things. There is no weather that they need to be worried about unless they there's no weather that they need to be aware about unless you are in one of the enormous caverns that are much more common near the the airplane of existence. As you get closer to the airplane, not the vehicle, as you get closer to the plane of air, there are larger and larger caverns and chasms that are sometimes so large that it's basically indoors, but it has their own weather system. In those caverns, there tend to be slightly more permanent civilizations and settlements, but they tend to be for Genasis, sometimes outcast races from other planes that have found themselves living here, like tieflings or dragonborn, especially those that can burrow. Insectoids are quite common here, like the Threekreen, an insectoid race that can live underground. There are lots of civilizations of mountain dwarves apparently that live in the Earth plane as well. Well, not lots, but mountain dwarves are one of the races that is more able to survive. Drow as well, being that they are used to being underground in the Underdark. Any races that you would find in the Underdark are sometimes found in the elemental plane of Earth as well. That's pretty much all the information you'll get on the settlements. So no one's really affected by the unstable planes there, it seems. I was thinking to find someone that helping might be in their interest. You may find people that are out of place, people that, just like you, are not meant to be there and have found themselves in trouble, and you might be able to help them. But obviously, if they're not meant to be there and they need your help, then they're probably not the elemental you're looking for. We're connected to the Earth now thanks to the Myconids. Maybe that'll help navigate the Earth plane. Can hope, at least. Wow, what a crazy coincidence, Sparrow. Any references to elemental temperaments, i.e. is one type more aggressive than others? Very good question, Todek. I don't think the author of this book would know that level of detail, unfortunately. Let me roll to see if they do. Maybe we roll to see if the information is there. No. No, unfortunately, this book, the author of this book didn't go, because it's a book on the planes in general. Like, if you found a book that was specifically about the Earth Elemental plane, it would have a hell of a lot more detail. It would have, maps in it of, various different places that have been mapped out and expectations. This is a book about the planes in general. So what you've done is, essentially, you're looking at the first half of the book, which is actually about 3/4 of the book, is about the inner planes. And within that, the majority of that is about the elemental flux. And then within that, there's a subchapter about the Earth Elemental plane, and then within that, there's all these subcategories and paragraphs about this and that and the other. But it was such a general kind of planar book that you don't get into specific details of the temperament of the individual elements that live there. How do normal people jump into elemental planes? Through teleportation and portals and such. Maybe we'll find an errant Horizon Walker who jumped there accidentally. Small chance, but you never know. Maybe. Does the book have any information on good people to do a deal with? It does have a... in this... Yeah, it has a lot of information on various different, beasts that live there, or the equivalent of beasts on our plane of existence. One such is a creature known as a Zorn, it talks about. Zorns are three-legged, three-armed creatures with a drilling mouth in the center of their body. They're like a spirally kind of a build to them. They're an elemental, and they can dig and burrow and bite their way through Earth in search of gemstones. Gemstones are their primary diet, and they can sniff out gemstones from miles away. It talks about Zorns as being beast-like in this book, but that you can use them. It says that some folk from outside can use Zorns like guides in the Earth Elemental plane, because they're easy to find by giving out some sort of donations of gemstones. Like if you get some nice quality gemstones and rub them on the walls and stuff, and make it very clear that you have them, it's not going to be very long before a Zorn finds you and wants to eat it. And if you feed these Zorns, then it's likely to stay with you, to want more of them. And wherever you're feeding it, wherever it's wanting to stay with you, almost like domesticating a wild animal, they have a semblance of sentience. They're not as sentient as some speaking races, but they can understand to a limited degree, and they can probably lead you to various different parts of the Underdark, of the Earth Elemental plane. They also, as they are not Earth gliders per se, but tunnelers, they can leave behind them enough space for some travelers to follow, so that helps. It also, I should mention as well, worth mentioning, it is, because it's underground in cave systems, most of the elemental plane of Earth is in pitch dark. The denizens that live there tend to have dark vision and blind sight and tremor sense and all these other senses that they can get by without seeing. And there's a lot of creatures there that are essentially practically blind. So even you with a dwarven dark vision, because you are a hill dwarf and not a mountain dwarf, your dark vision isn't super strong. You're not used to living underground like your mountain dwarf cousins. So some way of illuminating your path is going to be necessary for you. They understand, don't bite the hand that feeds you until it stops feeding you. Yeah. In terms of other things to make deals with, it does say that Dao like to make deals, but making a deal with a genie is very dangerous, especially an evil genie. It doesn't. This book doesn't go as far as to call all Dao evil, but it does make a point of saying like most of them would be considered of the evil alignment in morality scales that mortals use. Apis needs to find another older Horizon Walker and get the For Dummies version of survival on each of the planes. Yeah. Does the book include some alignment to the elementals so we know who's good and who's not? Somebody asked that before and the answer was no. Can we try to call gemstones out of our quiver, see if there's any hiding in there that may be useful for fixing ourselves? That's a good question. I don't remember. I don't. Somebody's going to have to help me out here. So we had a quiver that was from the Lucifreak arc of the campaign, where you defeated Lucifreak and you found a bunch of his loot, essentially things that he'd stored and treasured in his hoard. There was a lot of gems and a lot of jewelry, but a lot of that was from the elves that he'd kidnapped and kept slaves. And I do remember you gave back the jewelry box to the elves and said like, hey, here's your jewelry back, divide it amongst yourselves, sort of thing. I don't believe there was just like random gemstones, because that's not really a green dragon's purview, if that's the right word. It's not really his forte. Green dragons are more likely to hoard treasured items with a story, items about the fact that it's showing that other people were subservient to you by giving up something that was important to them. They're not really caring about the value, the absolute value of that item. That's more of a red dragon's thing. They're interested in sentimental stuff and what it means, the implications of somebody having given you a sentimental item that meant something to them. Red dragons, they're all about wealth. They're all about like how shiny shit is. So if you'd have killed a red dragon, you'd definitely have a lot of jewelry, and gemstones on you. But I don't think you have gemstones just raw. You have a ring with a gemstone in it, as you can see in the inventory below me here. Gave us the jewelry box back after they took their stuff. I remember it not being all elvish stuff. Yeah, there was definitely some stuff in there that was like more dwarven make. We kept the dwarven jewelry to try and find the owners, but don't know what we did with it. We will have to check the tapes for when that becomes appropriate. Anybody in the interim between now and the next time we play, please pop it in the Twitch Tales chat, and we can check what items we have. But for now, I will say that you have a little bit of jewelry in a box that's mostly dwarven make. Tell you what I'll do, just for now until we decide, I'm going to roll a percentage chance that you have some gemstones on you. You definitely won't have the required amount to do the realignment surgery, as it were, that Julius was talking about. There is a gemstone in there. As you put your hand into the quiver and think about gemstones, you come out with. Let's roll on the gemstone table, shall we? Ooh, I'm gonna open up my Dungeon Master's Guide for the first time in possibly years. Nowadays, I just tend to roll on D&D Beyond. But hey, I've got the physical book here. Why not? Let's actually use it. Let's go to the treasure table. Let's roll on one of these tables for... Did I just skip past it? Gemstones, there we are. One of these ones, I'm going to say. Actually, odds and evens. Odds and evens as to which table I'm going for. Alright, and then I'm going to roll a d12. What was that? 9. Your hand comes out with some quartz. It is a transparent white, smoky grey. Transparent white with like smoky wisps through it. A piece of quartz. It looks like it's very nice, and it's quite a nice chunk. Quite a nice sizable chunk. As a dwarf, I will say that you can make an appraisal check on it, just to see if you can get a rough idea of as to how much it is. I'm going to turn the dice cam on, do an appraisal check. 3. That is a 3. Do you want to lucky horseshoe this to see if you can get a better read on how much this quartz would be worth, or do you want to leave it and just try it again later sometime? Try it again later. Try it again later. All right, we'll try it again later. So 3 plus your intelligence of 3 is a 6. Because you were a dwarf, you got the chance to even try it. You're not a mountain dwarf, which are much more... I'd say mountain dwarves have much more proficiency, if you've grown up as a mountain dwarf anyway. You'd have much more proficiency as to analysing the worth of various gems. You do have a little of that in your blood, but not a lot. So unfortunately, the check is just not enough. You know that it's... With that, you know that it's a good quality one that would not be worth selling for any less than 10 gold pieces. But you also wouldn't sell it for any more than like... You wouldn't get like 150 from this unless somebody really wanted this particular type of quartz. So with a 6 appraisal check, you notice that it's somewhere it's worth somewhere between 10 and 150. Okay, you have a piece of quartz. That's the only gemstone you have until we are told later, with checking back over the things as to what jewelry we were left with. What do you want to do? You have pretty much gotten all of the information you're going to get out of this Earth plane book for now. You've been told that you're slightly part Myconid. I'm going to say as well, by this point, the sun is slightly higher in the sky. It is slightly later in the morning, and as such, the sunlight is streaming in through the open branches of the canopy in which you are sitting. And as the sun is striking you, you're starting to feel a little bit queasy again. Grab Seed and head to the Sentinel. Seed's work. Seed does have his own work today, which is to go to the Sentinel. So you can both go to the Sentinel if you wish. Let's go find Seed and get on with it. At this point, there's nothing for it but to just see how it goes. All right. So you feel you're starting to feel a little bit queasy, and Apis, you are insightful enough, having been told what might be going on for you, to realise that sunlight might not be the best thing for your skin anymore. You definitely still need vitamin D, but you don't need as much of it as you would have otherwise. Basically speaking, you're not going to want to spend a hell of a lot of time in the sun. So heading back towards the Dren Vale. SPF, stay inside. Yeah. SPF 500. I feel like perhaps we should get out into the sun and perhaps force some immune response. You could also do that, Dave. That is definitely an option as well. You could tackle it head on and just be like, grin and bear it. See if you can force yourself to fight off this Myconid thing, if you wanted to fight off the Myconid thing. Then we have a cloak, hood up. Yeah, you put a hood up on your cloak, and you start to walk back towards the village, staying to the shadows as much as you can. Hey, AJ's here. How's it going? Baked mushroom. Yeah, we're becoming a baked mushroom. You put your cloak up, you huddle up, make sure that your skin isn't showing too much, and you walk back to the village as best you can. Eventually, you get back to the village. It doesn't take very long, only because you know where the village is and you're connected to nature around you. Once you get there, Seed has finished his morning duties. He's done his finishing up his tending of his garden. He's gone and watered some of the plants that he's growing outside of the garden in his old carapaces. Seed has, as you've noticed before as well, wild shaped into giant scorpions, and then like when he's in a giant scorpion for long enough, sometimes it can start to shed, and he will shed his exoskeleton, leave it behind, and wild shape back, and then use that exoskeleton to like grow plants in it and make it look like sort of terrifying guardians around the Drenvale. You pass a couple of these on the way in, and you see Seed tending to one of them. Oh, hello, Apis. Did you find Julius? I did, thank you. Yes. You said you were going to the Earth Sentinel today. I was thinking we should head there now. Get on with it. No time like the present and all that. Crack into our morning jobs. Yes, of course we can go there now. Get gems while in the Earth plane to fix this for the god offering. But also, does our dark vision get better now that we are part mushroom cave person and we don't need light when we get to the Earth plane? Maybe, maybe. You'll have to wait and see, won't you? The displacer cloak would double our exposure to the sun. Not quite. Not how it works. Yeah, I've just remembered as well that you just constantly have a displacer cloak on, so every time you're talking to anyone, you're just like shimmering in front of them, and they're like, "This is really off-putting." How weird would it be to talk to somebody who's always just kind of lagging a little bit, and they've got like the vision of where they're actually standing is kind of jumping around each other. That'd be so off-putting. I think you have to take off your displacer cloak when you're talking to people and then put it on before you adventure. You grab Seed from the village. Seed grabs what he needs, and then you head out together. You both make your way to the elemental plane, or the Earth Sentinel, and by shortly afternoon you arrive at the Sentinel. It is a gigantic elven man lying supine on the ground with his arms across over his chest. From memory, he's around 50 feet long or so, but I can pull that up on my notes just now. Earth Sentinel. 50 feet long, 12 feet wide, 8 foot high hillock of solid dirt, covered in grass, lying in the shape of a supine elven man with his arms crossed over his chest. Currently growing all over it as well, at least in 4 locations or so, is the Cleansing Creeper, a plant that was sent back to you from the Feywild by the Archfey that you know as the Merry Gentleman. It was sent back to you on your person using a spell called Verdant Armor, where a druid can, sort of like mage armor, can grab a part of a plant and it will grow over them, and then when you get to a location it can shift off of you and replant itself, recultivate itself wherever you happen to be, and it adapts to wherever you've taken it as well. So it's a useful utility druid spell that also has a secondary purpose, and the Merry Gentleman used this on you before leaving the Feywild, which I definitely didn't forget upon you leaving the Feywild. And this Cleansing Creeper has a particular purpose of digging down into soil wherever it's planted and kind of helping to revitalize the nutrients of that soil, to revitalize it for planting, to make it purer, to take out any toxins. And then what happens to it is that it takes all of those toxins that it's taking out of the ground and puts them into plants and things, and so it's a very toxic plant to eat. But yes, it keeps all of that toxins within itself rather than in the ground. So you see this Cleansing Creeper has propagated itself in the time that you haven't been here, and it is pretty much from head to toe on this supine Earth Sentinel as you arrive. What do you want to do? Seed, what do you think? Does the soil quality look better now? Perhaps I could ask Mel to ask any earth-dwelling insects about if they're happy with it now too. Soil looked good. Seed not real good with knowing soil quality, but seed plant things good. Seed grow good in the gardens, so seed think soil pretty good. You call down to Mel. Mel.
Yes, Apis.
Can you communicate with any of the insects around here? Tell them I'm interested in knowing whether the soil quality is good. Like, ask the burrowing insect if they feel like this is less toxic.
Yeah, I can already feel there are more insects in this area, Apis. The whole land, the land is starting to feel connected to bugs again.
Is that right? Could you ask them anyway, see if they've got any more insight?
I can try.
She's going to use one of her uses of her summon swarm, and out from the ground comes these burrowing little bugs that come rooting to the surface, and then the burrowers sort of make their way towards her. The flying insects come down from the trees nearby. She ends up talking to these bugs as best she can. She can't really communicate with them. She can just order them around, but she can get a feel for them. Eventually, she says,
"I feel like they are healthy, Apis. There are many bugs in this clearing. I feel like this is a healthy place for us to live now."
You get the impression from Mel, at least, that the creepers are doing their job. The soil looks better. Let's make a nature check for you. See how well you can assess the quality of soil. Not rolling well today. That's a 9. 9 plus your nature. You are not proficient in nature, so this is just a +3, so a 12. With a 12, the soil looks good. Soil be soil. Soil does look good quality. It looks and sounds and feels like it's just a healthy little hillock. Hey Mel, while you've got that swarm out, could you have them hunt out any more of the salt in the earth, like get salt grains and things?
Yeah, of course.
They'll start burrowing in. The burrowers start to bring individual salt grains to the surface if they can find it. Any that they do find, the flying insects come down and grab the individual grains of salt and start taking it away. But being that salt dissolves in water, it's not exactly like the salt is just sitting there in granular form. They're not able to get all of the salt this way. But what you're noticing is the bugs aren't really getting all of that much salt out of the ground. It seems like the soil is pretty good. Maybe change what die you're rolling with. That one seems to be misbehaving. Not how dice work. We're connected to the earth. Can we use that to try and sense the earth quality? Good idea, Sparrow. Are you okay? Are you as Apis okay with trying to connect deeper into this myconid part of yourself, rather than trying to avoid it or fight it off? If you are okay with trying to like tap into your myconid-like abilities, maybe it can tell you something about the ground that you're around. Do you want to try and tap into that and use it, or do you want to try and avoid being connected to it? Yes or no? No, please, I do not want to be more mushroom. Yes, please. Forest expertise. No, yes. But let's see if we can stay in control of it. No, yes. I think the no's have it, but it's pretty down the middle. Down the middle enough for me to put a poll to get a more clear idea of whether it's a yes or a no. Tap into this myconid quality and use it. Yes or no? I'm not going to tell you whether tapping into it will have any effect on whether it propagates more through your body. It may be as much part of you as it's ever going to be. But it also might be that the more you use it, the more it becomes part of you. You don't know. I don't like that you went, good idea, and then immediately, are you sure you want to do that? It was a good idea. However, it is the sort of idea that I need to ask Apis as a whole. Because Apis might have the notion that it could have other effects. Rob's gonna rob. You know it. Ooh, it is pretty close down the middle. We've got 54%, 52% saying yes, 48% saying no. It's going to come down to a single vote here. 56 to 45, 55 to 45, 53. All right, ended. With 53% of the vote saying yes, we do want to tap into this myconid quality, and only 47% saying no. It came down to only 2 votes. Apis is in 2 minds about this. Oh boy. Apis thinks about it and thinks, oh gosh, do I really want to tap into this? You think, I don't want to become more myconid, I don't want to become a mushroom person. You're terrified of the idea of becoming one of those myconids rooted into the ground and standing in one spot for months on end until somebody comes by to talk to you. But at the same time, you think, Julius did say that this is reversible if I do certain things, so if it does become a problem, I can keep track of it. He said it's not to be something to be worried about right now. It's of concern, but it's not worrying. Okay, let's try it then. And you take you lean down, you take your boots off, you unlace them, take them out, take your socks off, and you put your bare feet into the dirt. And immediately you feel comforted by that. The feeling of the dirt under your feet it's a very nice, warming, comfortable feeling. It makes you feel happy inside, which also at the same time makes you feel conflicted because you feel worried about feeling so happy about it. But you think about it, you think about your connection to the land. Immediately you get this sense of relief coming not from you but from outside. You get a sense that the plants around are in the same feeling of the outwing of a hospital, where the patients have been healed or been cured or they've gone through a successful surgery to remove whatever was not working in their bodies, and now they are just recovering. They're in the recovery period of getting ready to leave. You get that feeling from around you. You realize at this point you are definitely feeling the emotions. This sense of calmness that came from you this morning was not from you. It was from the garden that you were in, the plants that you were in, the safety of knowing all of the abjuration elements that protect the Drenvale village. You realize that you have a new ability to essentially talk to plants. It is not the spell Speak with Plants, so you don't get direct words from plants, but you can, at will, take an action to tap into the emotions, the feelings, the general vibe, essentially, of plants. Plant empath, yes. You have now got a feature on your character sheet called Spore Rapport, I call it. Apis can communicate through feelings, emotions, and telepathy with all plants and fungi within 30 feet of them, gathering simple concepts and general vibes. You have a general plant vibe check. So you do that using your toes in the dirt. Yeah, you make fists with your toes, and you connect with the plants around you, and you feel a sense of relief, a sense of healing, a sense of happiness that they are being given what they need now. The grasses that are growing on the hill, in particular, feel like they are now starting to thrive. Obviously the hill isn't completely overrun with grass yet because it's been dead for so long, but the stuff at the sides has started to be overgrown a little bit. The grass is starting to make its way up. You can see little seedlings and sprouts and things starting to pop out of the dirt. You get a very strong sense that the Earth Sentinel is fixed. While I'm at it, I will also point out some of the other things that you've kind of discovered by now. You also have a feature called Sun Sickness. You haven't worked out the specifics of that yet, so I'm not going to read it out, but you do have a feature called Sun Sickness, you have a feature called Spore Rapport, and you have a feature called Ungrounded, which you recognised last night. If Apis is not in direct contact with dirt or earth for Redacted, you haven't worked that out yet, Apis starts to feel unsettled and starts to feel an unsettling and distracting anxiety. They will have redacted mechanical things until they are in contact with dirt or earth again, for at least redacted. So there are things about you and your character sheet now that is changing based on this interaction with the Myconids. Whether or not it's a permanent thing, whether or not it's a temporary thing, is unclear at this stage. We need to put dirt in our socks when we sleep. Yeah. We definitely need this ASAP. That sun sickness especially seems very bad for us. It does now, because you are at the edge of the clearing where this huge supine man is laying, and as such, there are no trees above you, no canopy above you, and I just said it's just afternoon, and so the sun is coming down. However, it is winter, so let's see how cold it is and see if there's cloud cover. It is right down the middle on the coldness scale, and it is slightly rainier than usual. So it's kind of like a light smattering of clouds. Well, probably like a quite thick smattering of clouds. So the sun will peek through from time to time, but luckily for you, it is not a clear sky today. It definitely has some rain clouds on the canvas that is the sky. Time to get a parasol. Yeah, that could also work. A poop sandwich. Sunsick, but we can talk with plants, and also a debuff if we don't be grounded. Yes, and there's another feature that is entirely redacted because you haven't worked that out at all yet. It's specifically from the sun, not just overall light, i.e. fire. Yeah, if the fire is large enough to be producing like the equivalent of bright light, like sunlight, then maybe that'll become an issue. Like if you're standing next to a roaring house fire, then you're probably going to be feeling the effects of the heat as much as the light. But yeah, a single torch or a small campfire shouldn't give you the sun sickness. All right, so as you feel this connected sense to the plants around you, you go to put your socks back on, and instinctively you do the thing where you're about to put socks on and you don't want grit in your socks, so you kind of like wipe your feet off and then go to put your socks on, and then you think, maybe. Put a thumbs up in the chat if you want to put soil in your socks and shoes. Put a thumbs down if you don't want to do that. Is the hidden feature that we can burp out spores to talk to people telepathically? Don't know. Maybe you'd have to try that and see if it is. All right, an overwhelming yes, but send a vibe to the plants around us first that you're doing so. Overwhelming yes, but not a unanimous yes. You grab a handful of dirt and realizing that it's going to be very uncomfortable to walk around with like grit and stones and things in your shoes. You instead take a few minutes to take out any like large stones, any visible bits. You kind of mush the dirt between your hands to make sure that it's just kind of like soil rather than anything gritty. You put it in your socks. And Seed is looking at you a little strange as you do so. You're like, I feel like I can explain. And then you put your socks back on. It is strange to you that it does not feel uncomfortable. If you imagine you, as the players, imagine putting dirt and mud inside of your socks and then putting that back on, that would probably be disconcerting. Having like wet, squelchy socks that you put on. Not that the mud is particularly wet, the dirt is particularly wet, but like having anything in your sock other than it being a nice, fluffy, dry sock is uncomfortable and bizarre. So it is bizarre to you that it is not bizarre to put on a sock full of dirt. Instead, it is quite comforting. You put these socks on, and then you put your boots on. You lace your boots back up again. Like paddling the sea and putting socks back on, yeah, and getting gritty, wet sand on your feet. We should tell Mel and Seed that this is happening to us now so that they're aware. All right, you say, as you're sort of fumbling for words to Seed, you're like, I got a sock of dirt. Nice, sweet ref. You say, look, Seed, Mel.
Yes.
Just so you're aware of, there's some changes happening in me at the moment that I'm aware of. The Myconid got my memories back, but they did so by putting some sort of fungus or some sort of mold into sort of an aerosol form like it became particles and then into the air, and then I breathed it in, and I think it's changing me. Julius says that it's changing me to a bit of a mushroom person. I feel like if I'm not connected to the ground, it's not good for me. So I need that connection. So I'm putting mud in my socks so I can sort of try and stay connected a little bit.
Okay, that's not the weirdest thing that has happened to us in the last month.
No, very, very much not. You're gonna see that I'm much more of a fun guy. And then Seed kills you. Nah, Seed loves puns, I'm sure. I wonder if we could make mud makeup and start wearing it. You certainly could try. Mel's got a point. This is not the weirdest thing that's happened to us in a world of fantasy. So what do you want to do, everybody? You are at the Earth Sentinel. The Earth Sentinel seems to be fixed, apparently, from the cleansing creepers that you've allowed to just be here and doing the job, plus combined with the work that Seed had already done on it, plus the work of all of the badgers and burrowing animals that have been working on it, plus the work of all of the insects that have been working on it. You've been working on the Earth Sentinel for a while, and it seems like it is fixed, or close enough to being fixed, that for your purposes anyway. It's the same joke you made in the title. Yeah, I know. I'm proud of it. I'd say the brainfish was probably the weirdest thing that's happened. Yeah, getting inside of a fish and giving it riddles. Seed, do you know anything that could help us with sun sensitivity? Any plants, maybe? I was gonna go Mel with him. You sensitive to sun? Stay in the shade. Seed just points to the shadows. Yeah, but like, and you point out into the center of the clearing where this massive sentinel lies. If I'm out working on something like that, and it's sunny, I might feel a little bit off. See, you could put a big leaf over your head. Yeah, I suppose I could. You don't know any plants that I could like eat that would help me? No. Off to the Earthplane portal. Let's fill in Seed and everything we've learned on the way in simple terms. Where is the Earthplane portal, Reader? You don't know of one. Can we try and step to the Myconids? And then when that doesn't work, tell Seed that we would like to go to the Myconids and pop through the Earth portal there. You visualize, you think about the Myconids. Seed, I'm gonna try something real quick. I'm gonna try to step from here to where the Myconids are. You want to fly to Myconids? Maybe. I am gonna try and just move myself to where the Myconids are. And if I can't do that, then maybe we'll fly. All right, so I'm gonna make this a chance of actually succeeding, but it is a low chance of succeeding. Wraith, given that you were the one to suggest it, give me a number between 1 and 1,000 inclusive. Ideally, a whole number. What I have here, everybody, is a D1000. It's like a percentile die, but you roll it with your percentile dies, and this number gives you the tens column. This number gives you the units column. This number gives you the tens column, and this number gives you the hundreds column. So with these three dice, you can roll with equal percentage likelihood of all of those numbers. You can roll any number between 1 and 1,000. Just for clarity as well, a 0 on this dice, a 0 on that dice, and a 0 on this dice, a 000, will indicate 1,000 rather than indicating 0. So if we roll the number that Wraith gives me, 114, then we will actually be able to teleport ourselves from here to the Myconids. Let's find out. That is a 068 for a 68. 068. Unfortunately, 68 is not 114. I'm gonna crap myself if we roll 114. Weird response. but sure. 1 point off. Yeah, I know, right? I'm very disappointed. Lucky horseshoe. You could use your lucky horseshoe to reroll this if you want to, Tree of Dave, but you are rerolling a 1 in 1,000 chance for another 1 in 1,000 chance at the cost of a lucky horseshoe. If you want to do that as a group, you can do so. So close yet so far. Maths 68 is not 114. You heard it here first, everybody. Science has confirmed. What do we want to do then? You are at the Earth Sentinel with Seed. Seed said he was coming to work on the Earth Sentinel today. He's arrived and you've discovered, I think we're pretty much done here. So there is still work to be done. Now that these cleansing creepers are finished with their job, or finishing with their job, Seed could probably do to like uproot them and like clean over the bits where they were uprooted, like sculpt it, make sure that it's like nice and sculpted into this this original Sentinel form. Cultivate the grass so that the grass starts to grow over it again. There's still work to be done on it, even though the Sentinel itself is fixed. I was hoping it was a 1 in 999 chance, because last time it was 1 in 1,000. I had my fingers crossed. All right, maybe next time, Race. Maybe next time I will increase it to 2 numbers. You can choose 2 numbers, maybe. No, wait, that gives you 2 in 1,000. That doubles your chances. 1 in 999 would be I reroll zeros. Probably a good thing it didn't work. How would we get back? Yeah, teleport there, and then you've got 1,000 days to try and, like, 1 in 1,000 days, I'm going to get back there. Take out TomTom, keep it pointed at the Earth portal while we fly. Alright, so you want to get it out when you're flying? Or you want to get it out now? If Apis had a map, we could try triangulation. You could. Can we try to step to something closer? Perhaps it's the distance that we're not yet skilled with. You've tried it once, Tree of Dave. We're not just going to sit here for the rest of the game trying to 1 in 1,000 chance of like teleporting somewhere. The distance was not the issue. The fact that you are much too low level Horizon Walker to step that distance was the issue. Epis does have a map on their cloak. They do, yep. I say we take it out now so we can be sure the direction we take off is the correct one. Alright. You get your TomTom out while you're standing in this clearing. You say, TomTom, which direction to the nearest Earth portal? And immediately, almost like running off the end of your finger, just sets off down your finger and points directly at the Earth Sentinel. And then, like a pointer dog, with its little antenna pointing directly outwards. You lift your hand up, and he crawls over the edge of your finger to still be pointing at the guy. You turn your hand over. Oh, okay. This is right here. You start to walk around the edge of the clearing, and he continues to point directly into the center of the clearing where lies this huge Earth Sentinel. Oh, okay, that might be more helpful. Probably should have guessed that. Given that this thing is the epitome of keeping the Earth plane and the material plane separated and keeping portals between them from just opening up in random locations, the reason for the existence of these Sentinels is to keep the planes accessible in a very lawful and ordered manner. Makes sense that the Sentinel itself is the portal. Where exactly is the opening? You can step out into the clearing. You start wandering across. Just going to roll really quickly on a percentage to see how bright it is right now. Is it sunny? It is. The clouds have passed, so you step out into the clearing. You're not immediately feeling any mechanical differences, like you're not feeling the any hit point reduction or anything like that. You just you recognize the sun on your skin, even under your cloak. You're obviously holding your palm out with TomTom, the little beetle on it. You walk out towards the Sentinel. As you get closer and closer, you can tell that it is pointing to X marks the spot right over the crossed arms on the Sentinel's chest. So basically, the sternum of the Sentinel lying on its back in the clearing, with his arms crossed over his chest, is making a big X right over where the portal is currently located. It seems. You have a feature called Detect Portal as well. TomTom is somewhat of a homebrewed extension of that, so you can ask him a couple of times a day, like the locations, the directions to one. But Detect Portal gives you, it's a more limited thing. You can only do it once per day, I think, maybe once per short rest. I don't remember. But Detect Portal is a more specific version. It can give you more details than TomTom. TomTom's good for like more uses, but like general things, general directions to where you're going. Detect Portal, if you want to use it, gives you more specifics of it. Can we try and project our mind through the portal, like feel what's on the other side? If you use Detect Portal, you can attempt to do something like that, yes. We can use the portal once per short or long rest. Okay, yeah. So you get the Detect Portal back on a short rest, do you? Ask Seed, can you find me a branch, please? I'm going to try and find this portal. Yes. What portal? Yeah, this so TomTom's pointing a portal out here, and you point to where it's pointing. TomTom zips back under your bracer at this point. I think there's a portal to the plane of Earth here, and I'm going to poke around, see if I can see it, see if it just disappears into the Earth at some point. Okay, Wraith has offered a suggestion here. The reason I'm not just outright saying it is that I know that it's a little bit controversial. Some people didn't want to use the name, some people do. You know, or you suspect, the name of this Sentinel, or the name of the original ancient elven Eladrin founder of the Drenvale village that created the Earth Sentinel. He was one of the 12 people that you were visited by in your vision last night. So thumbs up in the chat if you do want to use his name. Thumbs down if you don't. They visited you in a vision, a sort of a religious vision, and gave you their names. But what does that mean? And do you want to use that? Yes or no? Yes, but not yet. When we're ready to go. Yes, but out of earshot of Seed. Should we be going right now, though? We didn't sleep very well last night. We should be taking it easy. Everything we read about the Earth plane in our book suggests that a trip will be far from easy. Yes, but not in front of Seed. No, not in front of Seed. But if we were alone, I'd say yes. Names have power. This is definitely a majority yes. So I'm going to say yes, but with all of those caveats of like not right now and not in front of Seed. So you have just sent off Seed to get you a branch that you can, a big enough branch that you can poke through it. And as he's walking off out of the clearing, you shout, "Try and make sure it's got some living leaves on it. That'll help as well." Okay. And he walks off. He's out of earshot. The only person in earshot's Mel. You trust Mel implicitly because she's basically an extension of your character. She's a part of you. She's a companion animal, so to speak. But just for safety, you say, "Mel, can you just do a quick scout above, see if anybody's within earshot or anything?" Mel goes flying up above you to do like a once round of the clearing, and then confident that you're alone, you say what Wraith just suggested. Just going to scroll back up. Draplineth, will you take us to the middle planes of the Earth flux so that we can fix Shirakil? You say it quietly, almost to yourself, but while in direct contact with the Earth plane. You've knelt down and you've put your hand on him, on like his upper arm, as it were. Will you take us to the middle grounds of the Earth plane so that we can fix shrapnel, I was going to say. So that we can fix Shirakil. I'm going to give you a persuasion check, and you have advantage. Ooh, nice. 16 or an 18. Rolling much better. One of those was Mel's dice. I rolled the wrong dice. Why can't I? There we are. With an 18 plus your charisma persuasion of 1, that's a 19. Immediately, you are not kneeling down next to this thing anymore. Immediately, you are in a cave, a cavern, a solid bubble of earth, surrounded on all sides by a uniform nature of ground. Somehow it is illuminated in here. It is not pitch black from being entirely surrounded, and you can see just fine. But you are also not alone. In this bubble of earth with you is a man that you've seen once before in your vision last night. An ancient elven man, so old that it seems that he's wood elf. Seems like he's wood elf, but perhaps a ladrin, very fey-like creature. Drapulinith stands before you, and he asks, "What is your purpose on that plane?" Am I in the Earth plane? Not yet. My purpose on the plane is to fix what was broken. Shirakil is broken, and the rocks needed to fix. I believe I'll be able to find them. Wait, no, Shirakil's the air elemental, right? If Shirakil is broken, has been collapsed in. I need to find assistance to help clear her out. You are a unique one. It has been many years since I have been contacted in this way. I think your reasons are true. When you are ready, prove you are worthy. And then you are back where you were sitting down, kneeling down beside with your hand on the dirt. And you feel an earthquake. As the Shirakil is the fire. Oh, I was right. Shirakil was the fire. Nami is the air. Thank you. I was getting myself confused with my my sentinels. It's been a while since I named them, and I forget which is which. This earthquake is starting to rumble, and you look around and you're like, "Oh gosh, what's happening? Am I going to fall through a fissure in the floor? How do I get to? When I'm ready, prove I'm worthy? What does that mean?" You see that the earth is quaking because the hill itself is moving. The hands that are crossed over his shoulders are starting to move downwards over his body, and the hands are simultaneously starting to twist inwards as if they are cupping an invisible cylinder that is sitting on his chest. And as they move off of where they were crossed before, right in the center of his sternum is a pit. You see a perfectly cylindrical cavity about 8 feet wide. A pit in the center of his sternum. You walk up onto his chest and look down into this pit. It is approximately 8-9 feet deep, and it is perfectly cylindrical. Apis, what do you want to do? Oh no, a pit, our only natural enemy. I hate you. Into the pit! We have 9 lives, right? No, you had Pat Mushroom, not Pat Cat. Step away from the pit. Jump, Apis, jump. Investigate. Get out the rope. No more pits. I'm going to run you over next time. Get Seed and explain. Wait for Seed and Mel to come back and then get in the pit. We're not ready. We need time to prepare before we jump in. Wait for Seed. Gather some fresh stuff from around for trading. Grab Seed and Mel and jump in. All right. Lots of interesting concerns here. So you wait. It's not very long before Seed returns, holding a very large branch, able to carry it because it's not super large, but large enough that it's like a good 7-8 feet long. And it's and why is it the sternum and not the armpits? Why did I not do that? That would have been hilarious. An armpit. He just moves his arm out of the way, and there's just a gigantic pit in his arm. Very clever. No, much cooler than that. It would have been very comical, but it would have really ruined the gravitas of the situation. Seed returns with this like 8-foot long branch. It's got lots of leaves on it still. He's obviously torn it from a tree. Or knowing Seed, he probably asked the tree for it and he was given willingly. He returns with this and Mel comes buzzing down as well and says, "There's no one around, Apis." Gravitas equals gravity. Jump! Give Rob too much credit. I thought he was making a play on words with armpit. No. It was not my play on words there. I'm unhappy with this trolling turn of events. You were meant to just get fancy this session, not me. Need time to prepare, but we shouldn't really be leaving the pit open like this. No! Choices! What choices indeed, Sparrow, what choices. It's not a plane of gas, is there? Because that would probably be an awkward portal location. There is a plane of gas. It's a plane of air. You've actually been there. Money shuts Rob up. Confirmed. Enough money, yeah. So you stand at the edge of this pit with a gigantic branch from Seed and a buzzing Mel. What do you want to do, everybody? Are you getting in the pit? Put a thumbs up if you're getting into the pit right now. Put a thumbs down if you're not. Obviously, getting into the pit, you're going to have a rope or something to get down into the pit. You're only 4.5 feet tall, and the pit is like 8 or 9 feet deep. Ooh, interesting. Yeses and nos galore here. Yeses and nos galore. I'm tempting, but no. Okay, this is going to have to be a poll because it's there's enough of us to decide. Get into the pit as safely as we can. Right now. Yes or no. You've got 1 minute to decide. Are we getting into the pit as safely as we can, but doing so right now? Let's prove we are worthy first and then get into the pit. Safely? Nah, just jump. Like you did with the airplane, right? Maybe that's the only way of getting to a plane of existence. You yeet yourself. You get to the edge of where the portal is and you just swan dive into it. That's how to get to a plane of elements. Also, we're going to get exhausted soon. Yeah, it is just afternoon, so you won't be exhausted for a few hours yet. Why are we here, people? Into the pit! Could tie ourselves to Seed. Keep Seed on the outside. Could do. Who can do the maths? What is the percentage of good things that we have found in a pit compared to pain, almost death? For anyone who's relatively new to Twitch Tales, all of this concern about pits is that several times in this campaign, Apis has gotten into a pit and it has not proved a good idea. There were way more yeses in chat. Don't wimp out now. Well, the poll has it. Unfortunately, it was closer than comfort would allow for a lot of you. But with 55% of the vote, Apis decides no, let's not go yet. We need some time to prepare or come back later or something. 55% of you say no, we are not getting into the pit. So Apis thinks about it, has their hand on the rope, uncoiled and ready, and then thinks, no, maybe I should prepare. I was going to vote yes. Well, you didn't, Wraith. You had 1 minute to vote, and it came down to a sway of just 3 votes. Still need our fighter abilities reset? No, they're reset already. We've got an action surge and second wind there, look. Everything resets with the long rest. So what is it that you want to do some prepping for? You want to poke it with the stick and our rope of commanding. All right, so much like with the elemental plane of air, you take out your rope of commanding, you give it the command to wrap itself around. The magic rope wraps itself tightly around this huge branch that Seed has gotten for you. and you lower the branch into the pit. It touches the bottom, and it kind of just naturally knocks against one of the sides. The branch is too long to fit acrosswides in the pit. I think I said it was like 8 feet wide, but I think actually the pit's probably only about 6 feet wide by about 9 feet deep. So the it's down there. It's leaning against the walls. Doesn't seem to have had any effect. It definitely didn't disappear through the floor or the wall. You pick it up again and you grab one end of the branch and you go down and you poke at the ground with the branch and nothing. You poke at the walls with the branch and nothing. It's all just real. It's all just. It just looks like a pit of this plane of existence. Just looks like a very well dug hole. Standard metric pit. It's 1 metric pit. Seed brought as a branch to test the portal's safety. We're not stupid enough to swan dive into a portal without checking. 55% of you were stupid enough to 45% of you were stupid enough to swan dive into a portal without checking. This pit is a trial. Portal opens after we pass. The Sentinel did say, when you're ready, prove your worth. Can we use the detect portal feature? I want to explore the portal with my mind. You can do so, yes. Thumbs up if you want to use your detect portal feature. Thumbs down if you don't. The use of it comes back on a rest. All right. So far, unanimous yeses. No longer unanimous, but definitely still an overwhelming majority. So you're poking and prodding with this stick. You put it to the side. And you look down into this pit. You think, oh, I've used something like this before. Let's give it a go. You think about Earth. You think about solid rock. You think about dirt. You think about mud. You think about everything you've read in the book about the plane of Earth. You get yourself on the wavelength of the ground, the dirt. In fact, you think, I'm a bit ungrounded. You sit down on the edge of the pit and you put your hands out in the dirt. It is bright here, and so you are starting to now feel a little bit of sickness. Again, still not enough to be completely mechanical. There's no mechanical detriment to you yet, but the sun sickness is starting to creep in. You've been in the sun for about 6 minutes at this point. You think about the prickles that appear on your skin, the goose pimply kind of static electricity feeling that runs over your body when you are in touch with force, the energy that the world was created from, force magic. You think about force energy, you think about the transference from one plane to another and how that makes you feel when in the few times that you've done it. And immediately your brain is transported downwards into this pit, to the bottom of the pit, and you see yourself down there. You open your eyes and you can kind of get this hallucination that at the bottom of this pit lies some kind of a trial for you. And although you are seeing yourself at the bottom of this pit, you are also seeing through ground, through solid dirt, through rock. You are seeing yourself surrounded on all sides by dirt. At the bottom of this pit, with this trial, comes the enclosing again of the portal. You will be encompassed on all sides by dirt if you choose to go through this trial. This detect portal ability shows you that the portal is indeed at the bottom of this pit when you are ready for it. And then your hallucination ends as quickly as it started and you are sitting in the ground at the edge of this pit. Should we maybe gather some things to trade for the favour of getting help or anything else we might need to survive over there before we go? Otherwise all we'd have to trade is favours, and that might not go well. Very good point, Redile. What sort of things might you want to trade? Ask Mel to fly above us and block the sun from shining on us. She's a giant bee. Her shadow should be big enough to shade us without flying too far from us. Not really as easy as that. She is a potbelly pig-sized bee, and you are larger than that. We need to warn Julius. So we have to be willing to be buried alive, as it were. not exactly buried alive. The vision you saw had yourself in this pit, but that the top of the pit had enclosed itself again. You will have to be willing to be buried alive in a bubble of air. You won't just be like crushed in on all sides as if you were in the pit and it was filled with sand. You will still be able to move around at the bottom of this pit. It's just that the ceiling of this pit will cover up again, it seems. So a really strong, a really long straw to breathe through, maybe. Can we take a creeper vine cutting? You can try so, yeah, you can do so. We'll come back to that because it's kind of a little bit disjointed from what we're doing right now, but I will do so before we leave this scene. Fresh things that don't grow over there, perhaps maybe some of the books in the village. We need to know what is going on in case there are issues. Are there any plants in the earth plane? In certain areas there are, but again, just only in the middle grounds and only when they are, only when they're not crushed and killed and things. Generally, not a lot of photosynthesizing plants because there's no light there. So it has to be plants that exist, can exist underground. So mosses and funguses and algae and mushrooms and all that stuff, which I know aren't plants, but botanically, yes. Did Seed react to this earthquake and pit at all? Yeah, Seed has come back with the branch to give you it and be like, what's going on? But Seed has no more answers than you do. This is the first time Seed's seen this happen. This is not normal, you say? He says, no, Seed never see this before. Well, I think this is the portal to the plane of Earth, where the elementals come from. Oh. Seed close it? So no elemental come through no more? I think the elementals were coming through because the Sentinel was broken, but now that it's fixed, I think it may be more reliable. I don't think things are just going to come through at will. I have a feeling like you have to kind of prove your worth in order to pass through it now, rather than just pass through willy-nilly. Oh, that good. Should we let Seed know what we saw so he can decide whether to come along with us? I've kind of given him the basics there. If you want to be more specific and tell him the details, you can do so. Creative Seed needs to speak with the elementals for us. Yeah, Seed can turn into an elemental using 2 uses of his wild shape. And then he can talk to elementals while he's an elemental. But he does still talk in Seed talk. He's not good with language. He spent the first 70-some years of his life alone in a village talking with blink dogs and sprites, and the sprites, although we discovered later several sessions into my DMing for James, for Seed, I discovered that sprites in their stat block says that it can speak common, and I assumed that they can't because pixies can't. Pixies, it says, speak only Sylvan, I think, and blink dogs can understand Sylvan but not speak it, and owls that live in the village can't speak English, and so for some reason I hadn't checked the sprite stat block and saw that they could speak common, and so we just retconned it and said that, well, we didn't retcon it, we came up with a reason for that, being that they just never spoke to him in common. they just basically pretended for 70 years that they don't understand what he's saying. And so Seed can't speak any languages other than common, and even that's barely there. And that was just like the Merry Gentleman gave him a semblance of common at some point as a gift. So Seed, when he turns into an elemental and can speak to the elementals, is still not great at understanding or putting his point across. We could take fresh food and vegetables from the garden. That might be considered pretty valuable there. Yeah, that could be cool. A test for us if we want to travel to the plane of Earth. Shall we go together? Seed can go, yes. Seed, come with. Have you ever had to pass a trial like that before, Seed, where you prove yourself worthy of going to a portal? Seed fix portals, but not go through portals. Seed go portal to Merry Gentleman home. Portal for Merry Gentleman's home in tree in the village. So excuse me. So there's been suggestion that we go back to the village, get some fruit and vegetables and food, like fresh food, and take that as like gifts and tradable things. Is there anything else that people think that they would want to prepare before getting to the bottom of this pit and trying to prove your worth? Get some supplies, yeah. Give me some specifics, though. What sort of supplies do you want? I rarely track rations. As you can see in the inventory below me here, you have rations, and I don't put a number on it, usually. Because as a ranger and an outlander, you are very good at living off the land. If you are in a forest, you can survive. You're a very good hunter, you're a very good forager, you know what foods are poisonous and what aren't. You can survive fine. It's not worth me tracking rations. However, when in certain circumstances, like when you were a prisoner of Lucifreak, I did start tracking rations because food became important at that point. Likewise, I'm going to tell you, if you go to the plane of Earth, I am going to start tracking rations again, because then it's going to become important as to like how the hell can you continue to survive. I'm also going to track torches and stuff like that, because you will be in an underground cave system and it might not be super easy to come back again. Canapus, how late in the afternoon is it now? Probably like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. Canapus, prepare some ink too so we can write things. Yes, you can do so. So let me start writing some of these things down. So suggestions of what you want to do. You want to prepare some fresh food. You want to prepare enough rations. You want to take some ink with you so you can write things. Is there anything else that you guys want to do before you go? Let Julius know. Talk to Julius. Talk to Julius, the unicorn. Tell him that you're off. I think we've got ink. Have we got ink? Maybe I just never put it in the inventory. My bad. I'm worried the Earth Sentinel will close. Oh, we did get ink. Yes, we got ink from the Merry Gentleman's Library, didn't we? So yes, we do have ink. I just didn't put it in my inventory. I should probably make a note for myself to fix that inventory situation. I'm worried the Earth Sentinel will close the portal if we leave and go back to the village. Maybe, and then maybe you can ask him to open it again. The supplies they will want in the Earth plane. Yeah, but I'm asking you specifics. What supplies? Can we find a pickaxe in the village? Potentially. There is a... Let me think. Would there be a pickaxe in this village? I think so. I think there would be a pickaxe, and if not, Seed would have made one by now. Like Seed is doing a lot of like manual work as the sole member of Team Thumbs, and so he's made himself a lot of tools and stuff. So you'd definitely be able to take or borrow a pickaxe, I'll say. First my time here, so I don't know what we have as far as tools we may want to bring, but tools are useful things. Anything you can think of. You can see a bunch of it below me in the inventory. It's not 100% up to date, I've just discovered. But this is basically what you have on you. Fresh veggies, fruits, books, water, maybe some grains. So yeah, we're going to need some rations / water. Fresh food, fruit, veggies. I'm going to put that down as like offerings. What's your carrying capacity? You've got a +1 strength, which is not great, but it's okay. It's above average. But you are a dwarf. So, carrying capacity. Oh, you've got a quiver, haven't you? You've got a quiver. A quiver of a loner where you can basically store a whole bunch of stuff in there. So you should be fine to carry it all without worrying about capacity. Is water rare on the Earth plane? From what you've read, yes. If you are in the middle grounds, you'll find water around. You'll find water to various different cleanliness. But there will be springs and things. The closer you get to elemental plane of law, the less water there is. You want some material plane pebbles? Yeah, sure. We already have 2 ink pots on us, thank you. We have our own information on Horizon Walkers other than the plain travel book, or just the ones we read in the Merry Gentleman Library. Do we have our own information on Horizon? You've got a lot of information on Horizon Walkers that you've collected over the year, over the months of like talking to people and reading things. Prepare for the rest of this afternoon, yeet in the morning after a good night's rest. Yes, I think so. How is Apes feeling exhaustion-wise? Well, it's not so much the exhaustion from the bad night. It is now the sun sickness that's setting in. Because you've been sitting out here on the plain next to the edge of the lip of this pit for so long, you now have a little more idea of what that sun sickness means. If in direct sunlight for more than 10 minutes out of any 15-minute period, Apis has the poisoned condition. Until they are in dim light again for at least redacted amount of minutes. So Apis, as you are sitting at the edge of this thing, you're starting to feel queasier and queasier as you're thinking about the things that you need to prepare, and eventually you have the poisoned condition, which gives you disadvantage on a whole bunch of stuff. And you said to Seed, like, I need to get out of the sun. And you stand up and you kind of you just kind of feel just nasty in general, and you walk from here out into the woods into the dim light, and you sort of like you hold yourself up against the tree. And you just kind of think, oh, I don't like that. I'm part mushroom now, because that means I've got this poison condition. And yeah, it's really great to be able to talk with plants, but like, is it worth it? That's up to Apis to decide, i.e. up to you guys to decide. Maybe you want to stay as a mushroom because of the benefits that it comes with, but at the same time, maybe not. Rob found a way to poison a dwarf. Yep, I'm afraid so. Turn them into a mushroom. Let's research if there are any books or information that could help us with the trial. All right, books or info on trial. We can do that as well. Can Mel get us honey or wax? Those would be rare on the Earth plane. Sure, you can ask Mel to go get some honey and some wax. I actually, once upon a time, I actually already have an icon created for honey, because I figured we might need it at some point, so I sort of got ahead of that one. I actually already have some honey that I can put into the inventory. Alright, what else do we need? A lantern. Because we've got lantern oil. We've got 6 vials of lantern oil, so a lantern would be good. Second water skin for the rations, a pickaxe, chalk, compass, and a ladder. Chalk, compass, and a ladder. Alright, I will write all of these things down, the things that you might need. The ladder, unfortunately, is not going to be an option, because not only have you not seen one around the village yet, you wouldn't be able to carry it. You don't have a bag of holding with a nice wide mouth for you to fit a ladder in. The only bag of holding that you have is your quiver of Alona, which is a quiver holding. Like, you can fit a hell of a lot in your quiver, but only things that fit into a mouth of that big. So unfortunately, can't fit it in your mouth. I've heard that before. I want to stay as a mushroom until we fix these things, and then fix ourselves. Yeah. I think that was referring to our poison resistance. Yes, unfortunately, it doesn't work here, because it's not a poison that your blood is able to get rid of. It's a poison from the sickness of your own body creating too much vitamin D for the mushroom side of you. It's your body fighting itself because of the mushroom. In your dreams, Robin. I was scrolling for an Ajo comment there. We need a more reliable light source than a couple of torches. We'll run through this very quickly. Does Seed have the ability to create fire or some such, besides having to expend 2 wild chips to turn into a fire elemental? He can create fire, yes, but he can't cast spells while he's an elemental. So if he casts fire, by nature he's not an elemental anymore, and so he's had to drop his elemental. So you have to have a short rest before you can get his elementals back. Alright, I think that's pretty much there. We're done. So we are going to leave the elemental plane, and as we leave, sure enough, you do see as you're leaving, this earth starts to rumble again. You feel this this earthquake as the hands start to turn parallel to the ground again, and start to move upwards back to cover up this pit in his sternum. You head out of this particular plane. You walk with Seed through the forest. After you're walking through the canopies, like avoiding the sun and walking in the shade for about 15 minutes, you are no longer poisoned. So it seems like if you spend 10 minutes out of only 15 in direct sunlight, you will get the poisoned condition until such a time as you can be in dim light or darkness for at least 15 minutes straight. So there you go. You have now worked out the redacted information from the sun sickness quality that you have. You also have the sporopore quality, and you've worked out most of the ungrounded quality, but you've not worked out the 4th thing that comes with being part myconid yet. You make it all the way back to the village with the greatest of ease, and you spend the rest of today trying to avoid the sun, and also trying to get together rations, An extra water skin for water. Those things are easy enough to do. I can basically just mark down as much of those as you want, really, to a degree, obviously. Fruit, not so easy to come by, especially in winter. Vegetables, again, the vegetables that Seed is growing, not so great in winter. We've got some hardier root winter vegetables like yams and things that he's maybe cultivating. The fresh food like meat, you'll be able to get some meat if you go out hunting if you want. That's up to you. But rations and water, I will tick off. You've got some rations and water. I will decide. Well, you guys can decide basically how many days worth of rations do you want to take with you. Each one will take some amount of weight, or if you put it in your quiver, it will take up some amount of space in the quiver. The quiver is not infinite, but you can take quite a lot of stuff in there. Nuts, yeah, you'll be able to get some nuts, which will be part of your rations. Rations is basically like dried jerkies, nuts, any sort of like really dry, staley kind of bread that doesn't mold easily. What else? I don't know. Whatever rations are. Dried fruits, maybe. Sorry for asking so many questions. Do not apologise for that. That's what this game is about. Ask as many questions as you want to get the information you need in order to make the decisions. You are making the decisions of the character, after all. You need to be informed for it. Can we talk telepathically? I'm not telling you that, Wraith. You've got to try and attempt it if you want to attempt it. On your way back to the village, you try to talk to Seed telepathically, and it doesn't work. But maybe there are other ways to do it if you spend some time trying it. Get away with a week's worth of rations? 8 rations? Maybe 20 days and be willing to trade 15 days of it to keep just in 5 just in case. Damn it, Robert. Do we try and burp out some spores first? You could try that, but we're going to focus on one thing at once. You're currently focusing on preparing for a journey to the elemental plane of Earth. Do we know if the Earth plane has timey-wimey stuff going on too? Let's just give it a chance. Let me just roll something real quick to see. The book on planes does say at the beginning, like the foreword kind of a section, before it gets into any specifics of any particular planes, it does say that most planes outside of the material plane do have some timey-wimey stuff going on. It doesn't go into specifics about any of the particular planes that do or don't have that going on. But you do know that the elemental plane of air did. So it's a pretty confident suggestion, a pretty confident thing to assume that yes, the plane of Earth will probably also have some kind of time dilation. I'd say take 2 to 3 weeks of rations each, maybe more. We want to be quick, but it might take a while to get back. We ever find out if the quiver would preserve something like that, like meat? It does not, Abis. I don't think you've done a lot of like tests on that, but I will just tell you on a meta level, it doesn't. There is a homebrewed item in my game called a bag of colding, which does. It's a bag of holding, but it preserves meat and things. Did we ask if Seed has been there before? Seed has never been to the plane of elementals, the Earth plane before, no. See if the village has any gems we can nab. It does not. It also does not have a compass, so I'm going to cross that one off. It doesn't have a ladder, so I'm going to cross that one off. Chalk, yes. Chalk you can grab, not a problem. Lanterns. Seed has dark vision. Sprites and things. I think they would have lanterns here, so I'm going to say yes. Actually, it's on the fence, so I'm going to give it a. I'm going to say 80% chance that it does have lanterns here. I rolled an 89. Unfortunately, with an 80% chance, there is no lantern here. You could try and make your own, but there is no lantern in the village that you can grab. Honey and wax, you can grab that from Mel. Mel will make some honey or produce some wax or something. Books and information on what the trial is going to be. You search for the rest of the day, and there are a few books here that Seed has not really paid any interest in since moving here, but not a lot. Most of this village has been either ransacked or taken. Not really ransacked, but most of the village has been. What is it called? It's not looting if it's your own stuff. When people moved away gradually over the years of this village, they basically took anything of worth with them. So there's no books or information on specifics of what this trial might be. Selection of material plane pebbles, you can absolutely do that. So I'm going to tick that one. You have in your quiver several different types of nice rocks and stones and river stones that are nice and smooth, other stones that are quite jagged, not like gemstones or precious stones, but just nice pebbles. A pickaxe, I'm going to say yes, you can get a pickaxe easily enough done. The fresh fruit and vegetables, as I say, kind of like I'm going to put a question mark next to that because you've got a couple of things like yams and stuff, but not a lot of fresh food. Thumbs up or thumbs down in the chat if you want to go out hunting and get some fresh meat to put into your quiver, to take some fresh meat with you. There'll be some animals around, you know that there's lots of animals, if a javelin or a spear fit into the quiver, we should make a climbing pole, but one that can disassemble. One long pole with holes for pegs and a whole bunch of pegs. Oh, very clever. Yes, Matt, you can do that. That's going to take more than this day to do because it's making something from scratch from a bunch of stuff you don't have. It would require going out and finding the wood, whittling the wood, taking time to actually make it into the things you want. It's going to take several hours. It's going to take more hours than you've got of the day left before you start getting exhausted. So yes, you can do that. It will take another day of downtime to make that without going tomorrow if you want. Up to you. Melt user insect ability to capture some glowing bugs in a jar or something. I'll give that a chance. I'll give that a percentage chance. Glow bugs. Bugs and glowing bugs. What's the chances that there are some around? Relatively high. I'm going to say 45% chance that there's enough glowing bugs that you can capture some in a jar. No, in fact, I'm going to go 55%. 55% chance that you can succeed on that. Not worth me showing you, but 56 is what I rolled. I have a 55% chance. So I'm going to say sliding scale. I'm going to give you a success here, but it's a mixed success. You are going to get the bugs. Mel uses up her last summon swarms ability for the day. She summons in as many glow bugs as she can, fireflies. You capture them as much as you can using some of the like honey that Mel gave you earlier, like to line the bottom with something sweet. You capture as many of them as you can. You put the top on, and you poke tiny little holes in it as best you can, so that they can stay alive. So you have a lantern, but the mixed success is going to be that A, it's not a very bright lantern because you didn't actually manage to capture as many as you wanted, and B, the bugs are going to die before too long because that's just the nature of you having technically failed that roll. But I'm going to give you a kind of a win. So I'm going to put glowbug lantern. Glowbug lantern. You have a little bit of a glowbug lantern that will last for a short amount of time. Rob, didn't we get a lantern in the Merry Gentleman's Library? Maybe. I run a lot of games. I can't remember the details. If we did, I forgot to add it to the inventory. You tell me. Did we get a lantern in the Merry Gentleman's Library? We've got lantern oil, apparently, so I guess. We simulated a lighthouse with it. Did we get it and keep it, or did we just take it off of the wall in the library to do the thing? Because if we did, then it's the library's lantern and the pixies wouldn't have allowed you to just walk around with it. If we get meat, we'll need to cook and eat it very soon once we're there before it rots. And too big a fire could draw the attention of things we don't want finding us. Should get longer lasting food than meat. Yeah, sorry, what was the yeses and nos of meat? Yeah, the majority of people did say yes to getting meat. So I think we are going hunting for meat, but we are going to need to preserve it or cook it. We asked for one. I think we used the lantern in the library but put it back when we were done. In my mind, that's kind of what happened, but I might be wrong. I might be misremembering. I know what you're saying. You got it. You simulated a lighthouse. You recovered the daily dawn thing of the horseshoe once per day stuff. But in my mind, you had asked the pixies that were running the library for a lantern, so they went and got you a lantern and you used the thing, but it's still the Merry Gentleman's lantern, and so you gave it back. I don't think the pixies were giving you a lantern to keep, but maybe I'm mistaken. Another thing to look up before next week, everybody. Before next time, for next episode. Septuagen, what about water? Was that answered? I didn't see what your question was about water, JMT, but you do have an extra water skin, 2 water skins, and clean water in it. Jerky takes a long time to make. Yeah, actually, you'd probably have several water skins because Seed hunts, because Seed is a meat eater, but Seed as a druid appreciates all the cycle of life and tries to utilize as much of an animal as possible. So Seed has used some of the animal organs that he has hunted over the years to tan it and turn it into leather products. Like he's got like a bladder that has turned into a water skin, and he's done that a few times. He's like stitched it up and down the outsides and stuff. So Seed's got an abundance of water skins that you can have between next week and between this week and hopefully next time we play Twitch Tales. I'm going to put a little more work into my inventory, try and organize that a little bit more, try and think about what you've got. I'll come up with how many rations you've got and how much water skin you've got. Feel free to talk about that in the Twitch Tales chat on my Discord. Alright, what else? Then there was just talking to Julius. At some point during the evening, as you're starting to get exhausted, you're probably exhausted by about 4 p.m. because you didn't sleep well and you've been hit with that after lunch slump. You've eaten some of your rations already just today to be carrying you on for the day. Seed's gone off to do his own thing, and Julius turns up at some point in the village, and you talk to Julius. Cast the exposition cantrip as to what just happened. Julius is very surprised that the Earth Sentinel has appeared to you again in person and has willingly opened up. You tell him, hey, we might be going on a little bit of a trip to the Earth plane. I hope that I won't be going long, but if the time dilation is weird and I'm there for like a week and then I come back and it's like 8 weeks, you know, who the hell knows? And Julius says, well, let's hope that that's not the case. Julius, you also ask about the pit and the trial, and he says, I'm afraid I don't know anything about that. He says, I'll go into a roleplay moment for this. He says, I'm afraid I don't know much about the specifics of what the Sentinels will require from you. But I imagine it will be simply a test that you know about Earth, that you know about plane, that you respect the differences among them. It will be some kind of a trial to determine that you are worthy of traveling to such a plane of existence, that you are not simply an uninformed tourist trying to go there without preparation. I'm afraid I don't know what it will be, but I trust that you will be smart enough to succeed. I'm just going to test chat. Please keep random chat and silly answers to a question. Thank you very much, Nightbot. Hides the Mickey ears behind the back. Should we find a shovel as well? Yeah, you can find a shovel as well. So you got a pickaxe and a shovel. Pickaxe and shovel. And the shovel is... I'm going to say it's more of a spade than a shovel because you don't want to be carrying it like you're... It's a pretty bulky item to be carrying a shovel without putting it in your quiver. So instead you get like a smaller, thinner one, like a spade, and just one that just fits into the quiver. You kind of squish the quiver down so that the circle goes a little bit wider and you can get the mouth of the spade in there. So I'm going to say that you have a pickaxe and a spade. Is there anything like a healer's kit that we could have as well? Not afraid not, no. I will say though, how long has Seed had to be doing his potions? Because Seed makes potions to keep himself going. I'm gonna roll to see a percentage chance that Seed has got any healing potions on him that he's been making. Percentage chance given the time of year, the things aren't growing so well, so that lowers the percentage. He's been tending to other things like the... No, he was spending quite a lot of time just doing his regular routine before you turned up, and that was only a few days ago. I'm going to say he's got there's a chance that he's got some stockpiled. I'm going to give it a 75% chance that he's got some stockpiled, and then I'll roll to see how many he's got. 009. All right, yes, he's got some stockpiled. How many has he got? D4 plus 1. Oh, nice, 4. So he's got 5 potions of healing stockpiled. They are... I'm just going to roll real quick for those in case any of them is a 20. No. They're all regular quality potions. So he wants to keep one for emergencies on himself. He's got like all sorts of things strapped to him at any one point. He's got almost bandoliers of rope and stuff around him. He's got like little gourds filled with potion for Pointy to grab. So Seed's going to keep one of those, but he's gonna give you some 4 of the potions as well. 4 POLH, potions of light healing. Oh, guys, don't we also have goodberries here? The goodberries are good for a day only, yes. Can we still eat soil for food if we're pat mushroom? Maybe. Worth trying. You haven't tried it yet. Several little leather bags in case we find diamonds, rubies, emeralds, and other gems that are plentiful and worthless on the earthen plane. Very good idea, high tech. You're going to bring a bunch of leather pouches. Leather pouches. So you've got a bunch of leather pouches with you. You are exhausted at this point, so any more preparation is going to take you into the next day, or you're going to roll for a second level of exhaustion. You've got a level of exhaustion. If you keep preparing tonight, you're going to prepare even more. Why do people keep testing whether we're a tourist? First trial in the Feywilds is essentially checking the same thing. Yeah, it's important for them to know. I'd rather be telepathic than able to survive off eating dirt. I really don't like the idea of trying stuff to further this mushroom transformation. At some point, can we test the mineral content of the area by using our herbalism kit bowl to pan in a river and try and work out if there's much gold or gems nearby that we can use for sentinel fixing and deshrooming? At some point, yes, but that's not a priority for Apis right now, Batmerp, it seems. Do we bring with us what is needed for the fire sentinel? Bring with us for what is needed for the fire sentinel. Oh, sorry, what do we bring with us for what is needed for the fire sentinel? Yeah, you need to come back with... Well, you don't need to come back on this trip necessarily, but you do think that the Earth plane is probably the best bet for where you can find the igneous rock needed to fix the fire sentinel with. I don't think you need to take... Oh, you could probably take a chunk of the fire sentinel with you. I say rest and resume tomorrow. If we live off that soil, that means infinite food. Infinite food glitch. Take a sample of the fire sentinel rock to compare. We can do that as well. We'll do that in the morning then, so that you're not getting a second level of exhaustion. So at this point, you are tired out. You need to go to bed early to rest after last night. What do you want to do, and where do you want to rest? We're going to rest, but upstairs, fight those mushroom instincts. Getting some obsidian would be lovely. Fight, fight, fight. All right. So you're going to rest, Apis, and you're going to put a thumbs up for upstairs, thumbs down for downstairs. Do you want to sleep inside to try and avoid the coldness of the night, but battling your ungrounded feature of like feeling anxious and nervous whenever you're ungrounded? Or do you want to sleep downstairs in the garden where you feel grounded but you're exposed to the elements? My kids wanted organic decomposing material, and Seed was bringing them that, not just dirt. We have dirt in our socks, so we can sleep in those and be fine. We have our emotional support sock. Sprinkle some dirt on our bed. Ooh, that could be good. Clean our socks out and then fill them with new, fresh dirt. We still have a bush in our bedroom. All right, that was hard to tell. I think it was majority yes by the looks of it. Let me see. Yeah, that was majority yes or majority upstairs. Majority yes says we're going upstairs. We are sleeping unconnected to the ground. Apis is worried in this moment that they don't want to become a mushroom. They don't want to feed into that too much. They want to fight that instinct. So now, once you've decided you are going to sleep inside, you are going to sleep upstairs in a proper bed, try and avoid the cold and whatnot. The next question is, are you going to do anything to try and mitigate that anxiety that comes from being ungrounded? Or are you going to try and cut it cold turkey and just sleep through it? Like withdrawal symptoms, essentially. Thumbs up for, let's say, thumbs up for doing something to mitigate it, and thumbs down for trying to just go cold turkey. So thumbs up is put some dirt in your bed or put some dirt in your shoes or whatever, sleep in your dirty socks. And thumbs down is no dirt. Just try and avoid all things mushroom. Cold turkey. All right, couple of synapses of Apis' brain definitely wanting to go cold turkey here, but the majority definitely saying let's put some dirt in our bed or whatever. So let me read the ungrounded condition. If Apis is not in direct contact with dirt or earth for more than redacted, Apis starts to feel unsettled and distracted. They have disadvantage on blah-de-blah-de-blah. All right. You grab a bunch of the dirt from the garden and you ferry it up in buckets or whatever and like start pouring it onto the bed upstairs. You take some out and you put it in you freshen up the mud that's in your socks and you put that in there. And then you snuggle down into the bed with the blanket on. And you go to sleep feeling more connected to the ground. After about an hour, you do start to feel a little bit anxious and a little bit like unsettled, like the ground, you're not connected to the ground. You're connected to some dirt, which definitely is helping, but it is not exactly the same because that dirt is not connected to other dirt, which is connected to other plants, and it's more of the network of connection that you're missing out on. So you get out of bed again, and you take another bucket of soil, and you make it a little bit thicker. You make it feel like more of a ground. With that extra dirt is coming some insects. It's coming some plants and like roots and things that were in there, rotting material, decomposing material, and so you are feeling a little bit more connected to all of that as well. And you are able to, after that second sort of round of dirt onto the bed, you are able to get rid of that anxiety from yourself, feel more connected, feel more grounded, and you are exhausted enough to go to sleep. And as you sleep, we'll pick up there next time. Thank you very much for joining me, everybody. We'll see you in episode 85 on your way to the elemental plane of Earth. Goodbye, everybody.
Friends, fans, and fine folk, hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what your favorite part was.